What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty. Join my Discord if you want to chat and share your thoughts, the link is in the description. 7DF Chapter 166 The Inheritance of Sage Art, please subscribe. The White Snake Immortal was a little unexpected. Orochimaru subconsciously looked at the White Snake Immortal after hearing this, but unfortunately it was difficult to distinguish expressions and emotions from a snake. On the contrary, Shi Shangyang was very calm, as if he had expected this to happen. In fact, it is not difficult for him to guess that the White Snake Immortal would make this choice, and the reason is very simple. In the era of Otsutsuki Kagaya, the three holy places were not as good as they are today. At that time, the ninja world could be said to be under the pressure of Otsutsuki Kagaya, and then the great Toad Sage of Mount Myoboku chose Otsutsuki Hagoromo, thus laying the foundation for the rise of Mount Myoboku. Base. Now, Mount Myoboku has chosen Konoha again, which can be said to be the best place among the three holy places, and even the Wet Bone Forest has also been affected. Katsuyu also chose Konoha's ninja to make a contract, to some extent. In terms of the above, it is to maintain the status of their respective holy places. 953. Must know that in the ninja world, there are many summoning beasts, cats, dogs, crows and so on, but none of them can compare with the three holy places, because the three holy places are not only strong enough in themselves, the target they choose is also critical. Before Orochimaru betrayed Konoha, strictly speaking, Ryuchi Cave was cooperating with Konoha, but with Orochimaru's betrayal, the bridge for communication between the two was broken. In this case, Ryuchi Cave will either remain as it is, as in the original plot, or find a new faction to cooperate with, as it is now. The arrival of Shi Shangyang provides a good choice for Ryuchi Cave. Another reason why the White Snake Immortal is so straightforward is that it knows the origin of Shi Shangyang. This is similar to the Great Toad Sage. It has the ability to see through certain things. The fact of the eye of a fairy. It is also a bet that the White Snake Immortal bet on Shi Shangyang, which is not difficult to understand. Shi Shangyang smiled slightly and said, "Then, I would like to thank the White Snake Immortal." The White Snake Immortal let out a breath of smoke, and said in an old voice with a lazy voice, "Little devil, you are here for more than this, right?" Shi Shangyang nodded, but did not deny it, but said, "Immortal White Snake, can you give me the inheritance of Ryuchi Cave's sage art?" The White Snake Immortal heard the words, her snake eyes stared at Shi Shangyang, and then she said, "Little devil, the sage art of Ryuchi Cave is not so easy to learn." It did not refuse, but it did not directly agree. In this regard, I am still somewhat confident. 35 Shi Shangyang smiled. "You come forward." Advertisement Shi Shangyang did as he did, and he had nothing to worry about. The White Snake Immortal said, "The Sage Mode practice of Ryuchi Cave is to undergo Sage Mode snake transformation and inject natural energy into the body. If it cannot withstand natural energy and snake transformation, then there is only one consequence, and that is to become a serpentine stone sculpture and die." Shi Shangyang understands that the Sage Mode practice of the three holy sites is different, the Shibone Forest is not clear, and Mount Myoboku uses toad oil, which also has the risk of becoming a toad, so the method of Ryuchi Cave can also be understood. "Where does natural energy come from?" Shi Shangyang asked. Immortal White Snake said, "I will inject natural energy into your body through the fangs." Shi Shangyang thought about it for a while, but shook his head and said, "There is no need for this. If you can, please give me some of your venom." Shi Shangyang resisted this. He didn't want something else to appear in his body. He injected natural energy into his body through poisonous fangs. This was a bit unacceptable. It's no wonder that Orochimaru likes to bite people, and in the original plot, he used his fangs to plant a curse on Urzuzi. The emotional problem is here. The White Snake Immortal stared at Shi Shangyang for a moment, then nodded. "Can." Then I saw it swing its tail, and a jar flew out from a corner. "That's it." Immortal White Snake said. To the White Snake Immortal, it was a jar, but to Shi Shangyang, it was equivalent to a water tank, which surprised him. This is accumulated over the years. It is said to be venom, but it is actually snake oil containing natural energy, similar to the toad oil made by the toads at Mount Myoboku. 5. Saying that, it exhaled a puff of smoke, and there was a hint of helplessness in the old voice. "Orochimaru doesn't have the potential to practice Ryuchi Cave sage art. I hope you can do what he can't." In fact, Ryuchi Cave has been looking forward to a ninja who can practice Ryuchi Cave sage art for a long time, but unfortunately Orochimaru has not tried before, but failed, which is enough to explain the difficulty of sage art practice, and that Ryuchi Cave sage art is here. Disadvantages. Orochimaru's face is not very good looking, but he has expectations for Shi Shangyang. Advertisement Others don't know Shi Shangyang's ability, but Orochimaru knows it all too well. In his opinion, the existence of Shi Shangyang is a miracle in itself. Orochimaru is not at all surprised that such a person can accomplish anything. When Shi Shangyang opened the jar, he saw a translucent object, which was somewhat sticky. Shi Shangyang could feel strong energy fluctuations from it. The energy was very unfamiliar, but it was also familiar. From the previous experience of sage art practice, we can know that the energy fluctuation is natural energy, which is a kind of energy full of disorder, which is difficult to control. Shi Shangyang reached out and drew a little snake oil from the jar. It was cold to the touch, smeared it on the back of his hand, and closed his eyes slightly. Compared to letting the white snake immortal use his fangs to inject natural energy, what he can accept is the current one, using his body to sense natural energy. After a while, Shi Shangyang opened his eyes and saw the changes on the back of his hand. There, pieces of translucent scales grew out, very fine and visually striking. Huh? 35. Seeing this, the white snake immortal raised his body slightly, and the snake head looked towards Shi Shangyang. After carefully observing the back of Shi Shangyang's hand for a moment, the white snake immortal said, "Very good, your body can withstand natural energy, and the affinity with natural energy is very high, that is to say, you can master Ryuchi Cave's Sage Mode. Please subscribe." Seeing this, Shi Shangyang did not answer here, but bowed slightly and said, "In this case, I would like to thank the white snake immortal." The white snake immortal exhaled a puff of smoke. "Little devil, I can see your ambition, but it has nothing to do with me. If you want to do it, just try it yourself, don't blame me if you die." Saying that, it wiggled its tail, and a huge scroll in the corner flew over and was caught by Shi Shangyang. The white snake immortal shook his head. The inheritance of Ryuchi Cave is like this: if the snake transformation is removed, it is tantamount to rebuilding a way to enter the Sage Mode from scratch, and being able to do this is equivalent to creating another holy place. "Can the Sage Mode of the Dragon 3.0 burrows be removed?" Shi Shangyang asked. Shi Shangyang nodded. Having experience in sage art practice, he naturally has an advantage in this respect. "This is the sage art heritage of Ryuchi Cave, take it." "But it's also possible, isn't it?" Shi Shangyang smiled. Chapter 167 Shi Shangyang's Ambition. Please subscribe. The simplicity of the white snake immortal surprised Shi Shangyang more or less. This scroll is not an ordinary thing. It represents the inheritance of Ryuchi Cave's immortal art. This is the most precious thing Ryuchi Cave gave to Shi Shangyang. The meaning it represents is self-evident. Orochimaru's eyes were on the huge scroll, and even he never thought that he could actually get this thing. The purpose of coming to Ryuchi Cave this time has been achieved, so there is no need to stay. Shi Shangyang said, "Immortal White Snake, as the leader of TNG Village, I promise that there will be a place for Ryuchi Cave in the ninja world in the future. It is also hoped that the cooperation between our two sides can be deepened. 39. Immortal White Snake waved her tail, her head laying on her entangled body, and said, "Tell Tienz and Shenji and the others about this kind of thing, I'm not interested." Shi Shangyang shrugged and said with a smile, "Well, I'm not very interested. Someone will come to Ryuchi Cave to contact them later, so I'll interrupt today and say goodbye. There is no need for the two to stay any longer." 14 Shi Shangyang and Orochimaru are both extremely straightforward people, and they do not procrastinate. Since their goals have been achieved, they will naturally leave. Looking at the backs of the two leaving, the white snake immortal did not raise her head again, as if she had fallen into a deep sleep. After a while, the three snake princesses of Ryuchi Cave came to the main hall. Tienz and Shenji frowned and said, "Immortal, did you just let them go?" "Yeah, that guy looks very dangerous," Ichikishimaheim also said. Soon Jinji had a worried look on her face, and followed. "Will such a move be too casual?" Immortal White Snake didn't lift her head, her mouth opened and closed slightly. "You guys, we can't refuse this kind of thing." 39. "What?" The three snake princesses were startled, with different expressions. "Just listen to the White Snake immortal. In the picture I saw, a pair of immortal eyes enveloped the entire ninja world. I don't want to see that kind of picture a second time." What? Advertisement. The three snake princesses were a little dazed, and at the same time a little frightened. The White Snake immortal snorted softly. This time, the group of toads can no longer use their hands to influence the ninja world. In the future, Ryuchi Cave will also be able to have some new forces. The era of ninjas is coming to an end, that the kid represents the future. 5. The three snake princesses looked at each other and could see a trace of horror in each other's eyes. It was the first time they heard such words from the mouth of the white snake fairy. The meaning of these words made them unable to help but think about it. Also, that is to say, will the ninja world usher in a change? Tienz and Shenji asked subconsciously. Change? Immortal White Snake muttered to himself, and then said, Haha, it's not just that simple change. Look, you will know the result soon, it won't be too long. 35. Hearing the words, the three snake princesses did not ask any more questions, they were all digesting the words of the White Snake immortal. On the other side, Shi Shangyang and Orochimaru left. The latter couldn't help but said, Yang-kun, this trip went well, what are you going to do next? Shi Shangyang smiled slightly and patted the huge scroll on his back. Of course, I learned the magic of Ryuchi Cave first, and mastered the Sage Mode. It's a good thing for you and me in the village. Orochimaru frowned and said, the Sage Mode of Ryuchi Cave is not so easy to master. He has a great say in this point. If he is a good master, he will not be a master until now. It doesn't matter, because of this, we should do this even more. The Sage Mode of Ryuchi Cave is too restrictive. If you want to master it, you must have a special talent. This is not friendly to the village, so I think now, on the Ryuchi Cave Sage Mode, explore a Sage Mode that everyone can practice. Shi Shangyang said. Orochimaru added his lower lip and couldn't help saying, Yang-kun's ambition is really big enough. 35. Ambition? Shi Shangyang shook his head. You still haven't gotten rid of traditional thinking. Advertisement. After speaking, he smiled again. But I think so, after all. You are a ninja from a traditional ninja village like Konoha. It is normal to have such thoughts. In my opinion, this is not an ambition, but expectations. 35. Oh, I would like to hear about it, Orochimaru said. It has only been more than a year since TNG Village was established from scratch. To this extent, what do you think is the current strength of TNG Village? Shi Shangyang asked. Orochimaru thought for a while before saying, it's stronger than the average shinobi village. Is that just the way it is? Shi Shangyang asked with a half-smile. Orochimaru frowned and thought for a moment, but still felt that what he had just said was fine. That's why I would say your traditional thinking. The biggest difference between TN Village and other ninja villages is that TN Village has its own mode and does not require ninjas to accept tasks. Ninjas are also producers, and it is no longer just a tool for fighting. Even ordinary people can contribute their own strength to the village. Under this model, TN Village has a broader future than other ninja villages. Just imagine, if this model expanding tenfold, what would the result be? Orochimaru thought for a moment, and couldn't help but change his face. You already thought of it, right? Shi Shangyang asked with a smile. Orochimaru's rare expression turned solemn, and he nodded slightly. So, the biggest difference between TN Village and other ninja villages in the ninja world is that we have a more advanced model. The most important part of this model is production and innovation. This is how TN Village is based on ninja. The foundation of the world, Shi Shangyang said. Orochimaru smiled again and added his lower lip. I almost get it. Shi Shangyang shook his head. No, you still don't understand. I said so much just to tell you, abandon your old thinking and completely integrate into TNG Village, and then you will find that your own strength is nothing. A strong overall, full of like-minded companions around you, this is the real power, and by then, the ninja world will be nothing to us at all. Saying that, Shi Shangyang stretched out his hand, opened his palm, and then clenched his fist, as if he wanted to hold the whole world in his hand, and said inexplicably, changing the ninja world is an inevitable thing for me, and the result is already doomed. It's fundamental. No ambition. What I really want is that when I stand at the top one day, I find that there is still a way ahead, so that I can continue to walk. Orochimaru narrowed his eyes slightly, and for some reason, there was an urge in his heart, wanting to stand beside Shi Shangyang and see what he said, the scenery when he was standing at the highest point. Chapter 168, The Birth of Vortex Incense, for subscription. It is definitely not an easy thing to create your own Sage Mode on the Ryuchi Cave Sage Mode, or to create a Sage Mode that can be popularized, and it will also be a huge project. With mental preparation, there is no need to worry too much. Anyway, everything is viewed with a normal heart, and if time is enough, results will always come out. Orochimaru is also not in a hurry. He is now mainly busy with the optimization of living corpse reincarnation, not the development, because this forbidden technique has been developed, but it is just a crotch in the aspect of the curse. In terms of optimization, that is, spells, with the addition of Ryuchi Cave Sage Mode, this is the direction Orochimaru will work on in the future, and Shi Shangyang will also help in this regard. By helping Orochimaru improve the spell, so as to increase their understanding of the Ryuchi Cave Sage Mode, and then slowly perfect or create their own Sage Mode, this is what the two plan to do later. But this is not destined to be done in a short time. Shi Shangyang and Orochimaru have enough time and confidence. Even though Shi Shangyang is not a professional researcher, he has enough vision and thinking different from the natives of the ninja world, so he can often find another way, and his achievements are higher than Orochimaru. As for Orochimaru, needless to say, he is definitely a leader among the local talents in the ninja world, and his understanding of ninjutsu even exceeds that of Shi Shangyang. With the combined efforts of the two, the results are actually not slow. No, in less than 2 months after returning from Ryuchi Cave, the two of them completed a breakthrough on the spell seal. They intercepted the side effects of snake transformation in Ryuchi Cave Sage Mode, and added the side effects to the mantra, so that the mantra had the ability to transform into 2 stages, so as to actively accommodate natural energy and enhance various abilities of the body. This point is that Shi Shangyang imitated the curse mark in the original plot and developed it together with Orochimaru. In terms of effect, it even exceeds the level in the original plot, but it has certain requirements for the physical quality of the victim. In other words, this technique is still dangerous to the victim, and ordinary people can't bear it at all. If an ordinary ninja enters the second stage of the spell, the burden on the body will increase rapidly, resulting in a little damage to the body. However, this kind of result is also normal. After all, the side effects of Ryuchi Cave Sage Mode are added in, which is the result achieved by taking a loophole. The two regarded the state of the second stage of the curse seal as a semi-finished product, and more of it was an attempt, because it was very different from the result they designed. In their vision, the real spell seal is able to strengthen the body through natural energy, so that the body gradually strengthens without any side effects. Advertisement. But to achieve this step, it is obviously not that simple. But the two of them are not in a hurry. The current spell seal is enough for the improvement of living corpse reincarnation, and it is enough to cover up the side effects after living corpse reincarnation. Orochimaru is still satisfied with this, so the early development of living corpse reincarnation is about the same, stopped. If you want to make major changes and optimizations to living corpse reincarnation later, you must make a breakthrough in Sage Mode, otherwise the side effect of snakeization will not be able to be eradicated at all. With this breakthrough in the living corpse reincarnation spell, Shi Shangyang also has a good understanding of Sage Mode. The Sage Art of Ryuchi Cave has high requirements for people. Having said that, Shi Shangyang is now able to control the snake formation within a certain range, so that the effect of the snake formation is weakened, which can be regarded as the initial application of the Ryuchi Cave Sage Mode. The current Shi Shangyang maintains Sage Mode for a long time every day, and more or less has a little more snake-like effect on his body. For example, now, Shi Shangyang, who is processing documents in the office, is still wearing ordinary clothes. On the exposed skin, there is a layer of scales that are not dense, very sparse, and the scales are not prominent, and they look like it's like cracked skin. His skin has also turned a lot paler, and there is a faint trend towards paleness, but it is still in the range of normal skin color. The biggest change is on his forehead, which now has two small upward horns. I don't know if it's the horns that snakes should have, or the result of his own bloodline returning to his ancestors. Shi Shangyang checked himself on this point. It's very strange that even if he ends Sage Mode, these two small horns still exist. The final conclusion was that it was Sage Mode that activated a certain gene in his bloodline, making it atavistic. Don't forget that Uchiha's bloodline comes from Otsutsuki, and the standard Otsutsuki will have strangely shaped cuticles on their heads. Shi Shangyang's forehead has two small horns, which can be explained in the atavistic state. He didn't feel any discomfort, but sometimes he felt a little sluggish. The office door was opened, and an Anbu ninja walked in quickly and knelt down on one knee. Master Chief, Master Sa Yegwo is about to give birth. Shi Shangyang was stunned for a moment, then put down what he was doing and walked out, and asked at the same time, when did it happen? Just now, it was notified by Orochimaru-sama that Lin-sama has already rushed over. Anbu ninja said. Advertisement, okay, I'll go now. It is good news for Shi Shangyang that the Uzumaki clan in Tien village has grown up. If the vortex sand is really incense, it will be even more of a surprise for the village. The appearance of a genius will often lead to improvement in many aspects. If this genius is to be cultivated by him, he will be very much looking forward to how much power he will contribute to the village in the future. There was no delay. Shi Shangyang came to the underground laboratory very soon, and the whirlpool sand was Orochimaru and his co-stop, and the usual experiments would help to start. This is both exercise and learning. Now it is time to give birth. Surprisingly, after all, the pregnancy period is almost the same. When I came to the laboratory, Orochimaru was standing at the door, looking a little unhappy. Anyone who is kicked out of the experiment at a critical moment, I believe it will not be very comfortable. Noli is good. Not to mention that he is Orochimaru, and he did not show it directly, because his personality has changed a lot. Shi Shangyang did not go in, but waited at the door just like Orochimaru. Nohara Rin was in charge of the delivery, and there were already medical staff already equipped, so there was no need for Shi Shangyang and the others to worry about it. The ninja's physical fitness is strong, and the Whirlpool family is the best among them, so the production of Whirlpool sandy fruit is very smooth. Less than 10 minutes after Shi Shangyang's arrival, the child was born. A nurse came out to announce, the leader, Orochimaru-sama, Sa Yego-sama has given birth to a girl. Shi Shangyang nodded slightly when he heard the words, with a smile on his face. Have a name been given? 35 The nurse said, not yet. Lord Sha Yegwo said that he would like to ask the leader to name him. Shi Shangyang didn't decide, and said directly, let's call it Shang Rin. Chapter 169 9 Tales Jinuriki Alternative, for subscription. When everything was sorted out, Whirlpool Sand came out with the child in his arms. That's right, it was carried out. The Whirlpool Sand also turned pale a little, and basically couldn't see anything wrong. With a smile on his face, looking at the swaddling baby tenderly, he came to Shi Shangyang and said, Lord Chief, what is this child's name? Shi Shangyang glanced at the baby in the swaddle and said, it's called Shang Rin, Uzumaki Shang Rin, 99. Uzumaki Karen. Well, it's a very good name. I hope she can become that firelight that illuminates others. In the words of this world, Shanglin has the meaning of fire and beauty, so it is indeed a good name. Orochimaru is used to seeing the passing of life, and this is the first time that he has seen the birth of life. It is not known to outsiders what his inner thoughts are, but he rarely shows a smile on his face. Shanglin said, I want to be the teacher of this child. 5. This time, Shi Shangyang was a little surprised. In the original plot, Orochimaru seemed to be a bit laissez-faire when he treated Shang Rin, and he didn't have the appearance of superiors treating subordinates at all. Changed to now, has this kind of fate also been brought over by 953? Since he wanted to be Shang Rin's teacher, Shi Shangyang naturally wouldn't refuse. The current Orochimaru is not the Orochimaru of the past, and his mentality has already changed. Although the whole person still looks indifferent, the bond with others is also gradually taking shape. In a word, it is more popular on the body. Okay, then leave it to you, Orochimaru, Shi Shangyang said. Hearing this, Sha Yegwo had a hint of joy on her face. Whether it is Orochimaru's child's teacher or Shi Shangyang's becoming the child's teacher, it is a good thing for her, and this child will definitely have a bright future in the future. Thank you Orochimaru-sama, she said. Advertisement. Orochimaru just laughed softly, and then said, leave, I still have experiments to continue, don't disturb me. The attitude of Orochimaru, the people present have long been used to it, and no one cares. Everyone left the laboratory and went to the Vortex clan, and they were immediately welcomed. There was no other reason. The patriarch gave birth to a girl. This is definitely good news for the sparsely populated Vortex clan. Nohara Rin arranged the postpartum matters for the Whirlpool Shiaguo, while the Whirlpool Santiago lay on the bed to rest, while Shi Shangyang held the swaddle, looked at the Uzumaki incense inside, and pondered for a while before saying, Shiaguo, there is something I want to do. Discuss with you. What's the matter, Lord Chief? It is so. 35 Shi Shangyang expressed his thoughts. I will go to Konoha later to get their 9 tails. I want to seal the 9 tails in this child's body and make him the Jinchuriki of the village. When Nohara Rin heard the words, she suddenly worried. Do you really want to do this? This child is still so young. Vortex Sha Yeguo is also a little worried. After all, it is her own child, so it is normal for her to have this kind of mentality. Seeing this, Shi Shangyang smiled and said, Don't worry, it's not the whole 9 tails, but half of the 9 tails chakra. After speaking, he explained the situation of 9 tails, and then said, Half of 9 tails chakra, strictly speaking, is no worse than other tailed beasts, and I have perfected the sealing technique of tailed beasts. What impact does this kid have? He paused for a moment, then glanced at Uzumaki, who was sleeping soundly in the swaddling clothes, and continued. I can feel that this child's bloodline is very pure, and his talent is definitely not bad. He may be better than Jisha Yeguo Yu. Quite a lot. Sealing the chakra like 9 tails in her body will instead become a boost for her growth and make her future even broader. But don't underestimate the tailed beast chakra. For ninjas, it is an incomparably powerful force. Hearing the words, Zunhua Shiyi didn't hesitate, nodded and said, I understand the leader. If this child becomes Jinchuriki, it can be regarded as a contribution to the village. Needless to say, believe me Sha Yeguo, this child's future will definitely not be ordinary, and I am deeply looking forward to it. Advertisement, thank you for your affirmation, Lord Chief. Shi Shangyang said to Nohara Rin. I just checked, this child may also have a lot of talent in medical ninjutsu in the future. You should pay more attention to her when that time comes. Nohara Rin did not refuse. She nodded and said, Don't worry, this is the 2nd generation in the village. It is the hope of the village. I will teach her well together with Orochimaru. 35. Don't be so serious. In fact, if Orochimaru hadn't spoken first, I would have accepted this child as a disciple. But it's nothing, I'll teach her when I have time. With Shi Shangyang's words, Whirlpool Sand also has no worries. As soon as Uzumaki Shanglin was born, it was to gather everyone's attention as one, and her future achievements were limitless. Even Vortex Shay wanted time to go by faster. She wanted to see that day earlier. The birth of Uzumaki incense is a good thing for the village, making it a 9 tails Jinchuriki. In fact, Shi Shangyang had a plan for a long time. In his plan, the tail beast is also an indispensable part, and the most important one is 9 tails, so it is imperative to get the chakra of 9 tails. You have a good rest, you can put it down in the laboratory in the future, and taking good care of this child is your main task in the future, Shi Shangyang said. Vortex Sha Yeguo shook his head and said, I would like to help Master Orochimaru with his experiments. Please don't worry, Master Chief, I will also take good care of this child. Seeing this, Shi Shangyang shook his head slightly and said, Forget it, it depends on your own wishes. Shi Shangyang left without disturbing too much. After all, the Whirlpool Sand is fruitful. Even if the Whirlpool family is strong, they still need a good rest. With Nohara Rin taking care of them, there is no need for others to worry. Then he sent a message to Uchiha Obito to speed up his plans for Konoha's side. Uzumaki Shanglin has been born, and it seems that Uzumaki Kushina's pregnancy is almost approaching, so the follow-up plan should also start. And Uchiha Obito also responded quickly. On the 3rd day after the Whirlpool Sha Yeguo gave birth, Uchiha Obito came to Tien Village alone and appeared in front of Shi Shangyang. I got in touch with that guy Shimura Danzo. You can't guess what that guy is trying to do. Here are the first words of Uchiha Obito's meeting. Chapter 170 Calculations Shimura Danzo, subscribe. Shi Shangyang had a weird expression, and after thinking about it, he said, he wants to deal with the Uchiha family. Uchiha Obito opened his mouth wide and looked shocked. How did you know? No, do you have a connection with that guy? Shi Shangyang put away the blue card dropped by Uchiha Obito with a calm expression, and said at the same time, It's not hard to guess that the decision made by 2nd Hokage to ignore Uchiha Shimura Danzo is a student of 2nd generation, and it is normal to have such thoughts. If the entire Konoha is said to be the one who wants the Uchiha clan to be destroyed the most, it may be only that guy. The blue card is basically Uchiha Obito's normal state of breaking the card now. Maybe after getting along with Shi Shangyang for a long time, this guy is accustomed to Shi Shangyang's amazing actions every time, so he is mentally prepared, so he will blow the card later. There has never been one above the blue level. This makes Shi Shangyang a little helpless, but he also understands that Uchiha Obito's current limit is almost like this, and he can't force it. Hearing him say this, Uchiha Obito's expression is very strange. You really guessed it right, that guy does have this idea, and I even suspect that if it is possible, he would like to directly destroy the Uchiha clan. Shi Shangyang pouted. The rat in the shadows will always only plan things that are not on the table, but that guy is a man of action. If it wasn't for 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, maybe he would have started directly against Uchiha. Tell me, how was your talk with that guy? Shi Shangyang said again. Uchiha Obito frowned when he heard the words, and said with a serious expression, "That's how it is." In his narration, Shi Shangyang knew the whole process of the matter. According to Shi Shangyang's request, Uchiha Obito maintained his personality and did not reveal anything, not even Sharingan, but only had a contact with Shimura Danzo. At that time, the character he maintained was a wandering ninja who wanted to cooperate with Shimura Danzo, and as a breakthrough, he had the first contact with Danzo. Then, in the follow-up contact with Shimura Danzo, he completed several assassination missions for Danzo, and initially gained Danzo's trust. If it is Sarutobi Hiruzen, in the face of such contact, he will definitely reject it at first, but Shimura Danzo is different. He will never reject external power, as long as it can be used for himself, he will accept it to a certain extent. Advertisement Uchiha Obito is like this. After doing things for Shimura Danzo a few times, he gradually showed a trace of his own ambition, and did not directly tell Shimura Danzo what he wanted to do, because the guy was too cautious to never trust anyone, so only when Shimura Danzo senses something on her own does the skepticism lessen. And what Uchiha Obito let him know was that he was planning the Nine Tails Chakra. Don't look at Shimura Danzo as a downright dark person, but his feelings for Konoha are real. The idea of creating a root is to protect Konoha in secret, but this idea is gradually replaced by his ambition with the passage of time. He also sees Konoha's interests as his own, because Shimura Danzo has longed for Hokage's place for too long. So if Uchiha Obito came up and told him that he wanted to get the Nine Tails Chakra, then the two would not be able to get in contact with each other at all, just because doing so would harm the interests of Konoha, and Shimura Danzo would naturally not allow this situation happens. And now, inadvertently revealing his ambitions like this will make the Shimura group feel profitable. After all, this guy is a person who integrates conspiracy and tricks into his bones, and he will not let go of any opportunity that he feels he can take advantage of. So obviously, Shimura Danzo will definitely conceal the existence of Uchiha Obito in this case, and incorporate it into his own plan, and at the same time, he will complete his psychological construction, and there will be various reasons to convince himself. For example, if the Nine Tails are released, the loss to the village will be considered a necessary loss in Shimura Danzo's view. As long as he can become Hokage, the current situation will definitely be improved, and it will be a loss for Konoha. Seek a better future. These are all Shi Shangyang's analysis of Shimura Danzo's character according to the intelligence, and then handed over to Uchiha Obito, and made arrangements for it. It now seems that, under such contact, the results have also met expectations, and Shimura Danzo's reaction was within expectations. That guy did not tell the news to others as he had imagined, but concealed it, and really planned to use Uchiha Obito's hand to get rid of 4th Hokage Namakazi Manato and his wife. Don't think he can't do this kind of thing. If he didn't do it himself, the target would be too conspicuous. Maybe Shimura Danzo would have done it already. For flowers. Zero advertisement. Shi Shangyang nodded slightly after hearing this, and said, "The contact was very successful. Did Black Zetsu have anything to say?" Uchiha Obito snorted and said, "That guy didn't have any doubts, and even advised me not to do such a dangerous move, saying that Konoha would detect it." 35. Shi Shangyang chuckled. "Indeed, there is a real risk of exposure to that guy Shimura Danzo, but trust me, that guy Shimura Danzo will most likely not tell this story in the future. For him, keep your secret. Existence is better for him. By the way, didn't you guys always want to kill that guy Danzo?" Uchiha Obito said. The corners of Shi Shangyang's mouth twitched. It's not a good thing to kill that guy so easily. Instead of killing him directly, it's better to let that guy do something for me before he dies, but I can't come forward to do it. This can be considered waste utilization. 55. Uchiha Obito smacked his lips, gave Shi Shangyang an inexplicable look, and then said, "You guy is still as insidious as ever. You obviously haven't been in contact with that guy. Why is it so easy to ignore all possible reactions of that guy? Calculated. Now think about it, you should be the scarier guy, right? That guy Shimura Danzo is a good guy compared to you, and I feel sorry for him." Shi Shangyang pouted and sneered. "As long as you have a bigger brain, I won't worry so much. There are so many calculations." "Damn, is it still my fault in the end?" Uchiha Obito was not convinced. "Otherwise, Lin is single here. Such a good opportunity. It's been almost 2 years, you haven't won it yet. Should I praise you?" Shi Shangyang said contemptuously. "Ah, you guy." Uchiha Obito blushed suddenly, shouting that I really love Lin. I respect her very much, and I can't take advantage of others' dangers, etc. In short, I'm just making excuses for my performance of pulling across. In the end, I'm cowardly or licking a dog. Shi Shangyang made Uchiha Obito go wild with just one sentence. "Give you another year, if you still can't get Lin, don't blame her child, call you Uncle Obito." Chapter 171 Kushina's due date, for subscription. Uchiha Obito was threatened, pointed at Shi Shangyang, his face flushed but he was speechless, and even a purple card appeared in the excitement. Drop. Congratulations to the host for getting the ability card wood style, cutting technique, close black lens bracket. This stuff is better than nothing. Seeing him like this, Shi Shangyang waved his hand. "Okay, tell me about Konoha's current situation." Humph. Uchiha Obito snorted coldly, took a deep breath, and then suppressed his discomfort. He put his arms around his chest and turned his head to the side. Konoha is like that, what can I say? Huh? Shi Shangyang gave him a sideways glance. Cough cough. Uchiha Obito is cowardly. He is really afraid of Shi Shangyang's threat, not that Shi Shangyang will punish him or something. Anyway, with the ability of Hollow, Uchiha Obito is very timid now. But the only thing he is afraid of is Shi Shangyang's 953 hand to Lin. He believes that if he compares with Shi Shangyang, he must be superior in every aspect, not to mention that Shi Shangyang can see Nohara Lin every day. If Shi Shangyang was really irritated, and Shi Shangyang turned his head to get close to Lin, then he would not cry to death. No big changes have been made in Konoha now. They re-signed a peace treaty with Sand Shinobi, and also signed an armistice agreement with Rock Shinobi. However, there has not been much movement on Cloud Shinobi, and there are occasional conflicts on the front line between the two sides. Mist Shinobi's side is still very hostile to Konoha, and the two sides have been fighting. 35. Uchiha Obito said all the information he had obtained and continued. But Mist Shinobi's strength is not as strong as Konoha, so overall, Konoha's situation is stable now, and peace is close at hand. Among Konoha, because Orochimaru betrayed his relationship with you, he suffered a certain loss, but for Konoha, this loss is not serious. The rest of the Hyuga family is still a little turbulent, and their clan is still a little worried. Shi Shangyang nodded slightly and asked, where is Konoha Nine-Tails Jinchuriki? Sister Kushina should give birth in about a month, but the exact time is still unclear, and we need to investigate it carefully, Uchiha Obito said. Shi Shangyang nodded. Then, recently, you need to get in touch with Shimura Danzo again to stabilize him, and by the way, give him the motivation to deploy. Uchiha Obito thought for a while, then nodded and said, I understand, don't worry about Shimura Danzo, I will create enough pressure for him, and get away with fake death on the day Sister Kushina gives birth. Advertisement. Shi Shangyang is still very relieved. This guy is out of tune on weekdays, but he is still very capable at critical moments. Well, then follow the agreement before, and plan not to make any mistakes. I will take action on the day Nine-Tails Jinchuriki gives birth, and you can use my hand to get out at that time, and at the same time, remember that there will be no doubts about Black Zetsu. Uchiha Obito nodded cautiously. Don't worry, I'll stabilize the Black Zetsu guy. Shi Shangyang said. After this incident, you can hide in the dark, go to the Shao organization, join the Shao organization as Uchiha Madara, and become a member of it, but be careful not to expose yourself. The village now needs a stable time to develop, up to 10 years. 35. This is business, and Uchiha Obito can naturally understand what it represents, so he solemnly said, I understand. Well then, I won't leave you. Speaking of this, Uchiha Obito can't wait to run immediately. As for where he went, there is no need to guess. Seeing this, Shi Shangyang shook his head slightly and then continued his work. He is very busy now, dealing with the daily affairs of the village, cultivating sage mode, and busy with various experiments. There are a lot of things in the village, big and small. Although he doesn't have to deal with all the details, he still has to make up his mind about planning, because no one is better than him in this regard. Know what to do. In terms of cultivation, there is nothing to do, dozens of clones can do it. He has learned from Uzumaki Naruto. With his current physical quality, it is not a problem to bear the feedback after dozens of clones practice. In terms of experiments, it can only be done slowly. Even if it is a number of people, it can't be done, and sometimes it needs a flash of inspiration. Fortunately, everything else is lacking, that is, there is no shortage of time. In this regard, Shi Shangyang has a very positive attitude. Everything behaved normally, and time passed slowly in this normality. Konoha, beside the memorial tablet, a white-haired boy stood in front of the memorial tablet. The white-haired boy is Hitaki Kakashi. After returning to the village with his teacher Namakazi Manato, he was transferred to Anbu. Various encounters on the battlefield have brought great damage to this guy's soul. Since the moment of Nohara Rin's death, he became more withdrawn. Advertisement. In order not to let him sink down completely, 4th Hokage transferred it into Anbu as in the original plot, and then took him with him, hoping to get him out of that state of mind as soon as possible. But now it seems that Hitaki Kakashi's performance is no different from the original plot. This time period is still the Kakashi who is far away from the crowd and is said to be withdrawn. He would come to the memorial tablet once a day, present a bunch of flowers here, and then stand quietly for a while. No one knew what he was thinking. Obito, Lin, Kushina's due date is 3 days away. I may not have time to see you in those days. Her child will become a powerful ninja. I want to be his teacher when that child grows up. Well, I taught him everything. On a tree not far behind him, Uchiha Obito emerged from the twisted vortex of space, stood there quietly, listened to Hitaki Kakashi's words, and scratched his head uncomfortably. Is Miss Kushina's due date in 3 days? This is good news, Kakashi. I and Rin are not dead. When I confess to Rin, you will have no chance at all. Without the hatred in the original plot, Obito's character is still the same now. 3.0 is holding a movie-watching mentality at this time, watching Hitaki Kakashi, and even has a sense of superiority in his heart. As for this sense of superiority, where did it come from? There is no need to say more. Next time we meet, I will definitely scare this guy. Please subscribe. Is it an illusion? The next moment, his figure disappeared, and the place returned to calm again. Saw. and the news about Nine-Tails Jinchuriki's childbirth was quickly put on Shi Shangyang's desk. Hitaki Kakashi turned around and looked at where Uchiha Obito had just been, frowning slightly. It's almost time to prepare. Uchiha Obito thought so, and the figure disappeared in a twist. While talking to himself, Hitaki Kakashi stroked his closed left eye with his hand, looking a little complicated. Chapter 172 The Night of Nine Tails begins, for subscription. It was night, the stars were dim, and the clouds were overcast. But this did not affect the lives of ordinary people in Konoha village. They enjoy peace as always. The streets are brightly lit and pedestrians are woven. In the peaceful period after the end of the Third Ninja World War, everything seems to be alive. The reconstructed Hokage building is still busy at this time. In the Hokage office, 4th Hokage Namakazi Manato is still busy with the work he is doing. Usually, he will work until very late, and today is no exception. It's just that tonight he was a little restless, and he didn't know what was wrong, and it was difficult to concentrate. Strange. Namakazi Manato rubbed his brows and stood up and walked to the window, fascinated by the night view of the village outside the window. Hokage's work is very complicated and busy, which he had expected before he became Hokage, but only after he actually did Hokage did he realize that he still underestimated the importance of Hokage to the village, and he was required for almost everything in the village. Come to make up your mind, this is the result after 3rd Hokage shared some of the work for him. Squeak. The door was opened, and 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen walked in behind his back. He was the only one who could enter Hokage's office without any notice. Sarutobi Hiruzen seemed a lot more relaxed after taking off the burden of Hokage. Although he experienced Orochimaru's defection, which made him a little haggard, but at this point, he naturally knows how to put these things aside, and the ability to adjust his mood is not at all difference. Lord 3rd Generation. Namakazi Manato turned around and smiled. It's so late, haven't you rested yet? 99. If you're old, whoever doesn't want to come, just come and have a look. Sarutobi Hiruzen smiled, like a very ordinary little old man, came to the desk, looked at the documents on the table and smiled. Minato, now you should know that the seat of Hokage is not so good. Namakazi Manato smiled wryly. Sir 3rd Generation, don't make fun of me, alas. He said with a sigh, as if remembering his hard work these days, just thinking about it gave him a headache. Haha. 55 Sarutobi Hiruzen laughed, patted Namakazi Manato's arm and said, take your time, I have a few more years to live, I will help you sort out these things, and then you will be able to relax a little bit. Thank you, 3rd Generation Sama, I am very grateful, Namakazi Manato hurriedly said. The two sat down and talked about some recent things, mostly Sarutobi Hiruzen was talking. Namakazi Manato was listening. It was old and new. Namakazi Manato listened very seriously, because every word Sarutobi Hiruzen said was the same. Experience is what he lacks most now. Advertisement at this moment, the door was suddenly knocked, and then a person walked in quickly and knelt down on one knee. Lord Hokage. Lord 3rd Generation. Lord Kushina may be giving birth. 35. What? Namakazi Manato was startled, stood up hastily, and asked, when did it happen? The man said, just now, Lord Kushina said that he had abdominal pain, and he has been transferred to a specific delivery room for delivery according to the prior arrangement. Namakazi Manato couldn't sit still, but Sarutobi Hiruzen patted him on the shoulder and said to the person, you go down first, and strengthen the defense of the delivery room, we will come right away. Yes. The man responded with a sound, and then disappeared in an instant. Sarutobi Hiruzen said, don't worry, Lake Biwa is there, and there are medical ninjas. Kushina will not be in any danger. What you have to do now is to arrange tonight's defense. Jinchuriki is not a trivial matter. Namakazi Manato took a deep breath and nodded solemnly. Yes, I understand. As he spoke, he said to the outside, come on. Immediately, the 4 shadow guards walked in, kneeling on one knee and waiting for the order. Namakazi Manato issued the pre-decided order. Everything seemed orderly, let Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded slightly while watching, and became more and more certain that it was the most correct choice to hand over the responsibility of Hokage to Namakazi Manato. What the two of them didn't know at this time was that somewhere in the shadows outside the Hokage building, someone was quietly watching the movement on the Hokage building side. Almost, it looks like it's tonight. A man wearing a flame mask with only his right eye exposed said solemnly. Beside him, a figure with a giant pitcher plant stood there, hearing the words. Then, the rest is left to you. If there is a problem, you can give up this action at any time. HMPH, this kind of thing, I can't give up, the masked man said. I just hope that you don't make things unfinished. You have to remember that we can't expose until Yahiko and the others have accumulated enough strength. 35 That's humane. The masked man sneered. Instead of putting hope on them, it is better to think more about it. If this plan is successful, how will it help us? The man shook his head slightly, then his body slowly sank to the ground, and said at the same time, I don't agree with your actions this time. It's too easy to startle the snake, but the darkness in your heart makes me feel scary. Since it is if you want to do it, you can't do it, but remember what I said, if something goes wrong, leave. Advertisement, crap. The masked man just snorted and didn't say anything more until the man was completely hidden underground. He couldn't help scratching his head. It was Uchiha Obito who took off the mask and revealed his true colors. He squeezed his fist and looked in the other direction. That guy should have arrived, right? Speaking to himself like this, Uchiha Obito disappeared in a flash. At the same time, on the roof of another building in Konoha, a figure 953 stood quietly in the shadow, completely hiding his body in it, also staring at the direction of the Hokage building. Saw. Uchiha Obito appeared beside the man, visibly relieved to see him. When did you come? I thought you weren't here, Uchiha Obito said. The figure in the shadow is none other than Shi Shangyang. Hearing this, he didn't raise his head and said calmly, is there any movement over there at Black Zetsu? Uchiha Obito put his hands on his hands and curled his lips. Let me fool me, that guy should have left Konoha by now. After all, there will be no small movement for a while. With that guy's caution, he won't show his face at all. Please subscribe. It seems so. With your current Sharingan pupil power, you should be able to completely control 9 tails, right? Shi Shangyang finally turned his head. There was no expression on his face wearing the mask, but his tone was calm. Of course. Uchiha Obito affirmed. Shi Shangyang nodded slightly and said softly, that's good. Shi Shangyang ignored him and continued to stare in the direction of the Hokage building. Uchiha Obito's expression was a little weird, and he coughed dryly. One last question, do you really want to do this? Maybe a lot of people will die. Shi Shangyang nodded. Then, you won't do it lightly? 55. Chapter 173 Kidnapped Kushina, for subscription. Not long after, 4th Hokage Namakazi Manato, along with 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, and a few members of the Shadow Guard, quickly walked out of the Hokage building, interested in one direction of the village. Is it over there? Shi Shangyang asked. Uchiha Obito glanced at it, then nodded and said, well, the delivery room of Sister Kushina is over there, and the guards are quite strict. If you want to go in, you have to work hard, and you will start next. 35. Shi Shangyang walked out of the shadows, walked to the rooftop, looked at the whole Konoha, and said in a low voice. Konoha is really a good place, even after the war, it is still so peaceful, even more so, abundant talents. Uchiha Obito didn't understand why he said that, he just curled his lips and said, Tien no village is not bad, at least from what I can see, Tien no village has more potential than Konoha. You're right, that's my hard work. If even Konoha can't compare, it's better to give up as soon as possible. Saying that, Shi Shangyang nodded and said, it's time to start, let's go according to plan. Uchiha Obito restrained his indifferent expression, stood up straight and bowed slightly, yes. Saw. The figure disappeared, and only Shi Shangyang was left standing on the rooftop, looking into the distance without saying a word. On the other side, 4th Hokage Namakazi Manato's group soon came to the place near Konoha's periphery. This was the place where Jinuriki was produced early. After all, it was 9 Tails Jinuriki. What if something happened during the production? Accident, resulting in 9 Tails runaway, put here can also have less impact on the village. Of course they didn't want this to happen, but they were always afraid of what would happen, so even Namakazi Manato had prepared for the worst. A single wooden building stands in the wasteland on the outskirts of the village. The surrounding area is flat, and even for the production of Jinuriki, Konoha has cleared out a large area of the surrounding forest, in order to broaden the horizon. In this case, it is difficult for ninjas to sneak in, and the surrounding area has been set up early. There are no less than 20 people in the dark, and there are people patrolling inside and outside. Security is not a problem in the eyes of Namakazi Manato and Sarutobi Hiruzen. When he got here, Sarutobi Hiruzen took off his Hokage imperial robe, revealing the strong clothes inside, and even just in case, he summoned the ape demons and made them change into a King Kong Rui stick, sitting cross-legged. Not far from the wooden building, it acts as a guard here. Namakazi Manato didn't delay, and went straight into the delivery room, which was already busy. Uzumaki Kushina was lying on the bed with a painful expression on his face, instead of screaming in a low voice, obviously giving birth was painful enough for her. Fortunately, she is a Vortex clansman, and her physique is strong, so this kind of pain is still within the range. Kushina. Namakazi Manato was startled and hurried to the bed. Advertisement, Vortex. Kushina gritted her teeth, her forehead was already wet with sweat, her bright red hair was stuck on it, and she looked a little embarrassed. I'm out there, don't worry. Namakazi Manato gave encouragement and didn't say much, this kind of environment is not suitable for him to stay here all the time. He nodded to the side of Sarutobi Lake Biwa, and then withdrew. For the first time in his life, Namakazi Manato doesn't say that he has no masters, but he is also a little anxious. A ninja shouldn't have such emotions, but there's no way, even if he's Hokage, he's still apprehensive in this scene. Sarutobi Hiruzen, as a visitor, didn't say anything to comfort him, just sat there quietly, cross-legged, waiting for the result. Time passed slowly, and finally, a cry came from the room. Gave birth. Namakazi Manato was startled, then looked surprised. But the next moment, there was an exclamation from the wooden building, and then there was the sound of collision. Not good. Namakazi Manato's expression changed, and he rushed in without any hesitation. The scene in front of him made his heart skip a beat. In between, a masked man covered in black robes was standing in the room, holding a swaddle in his arms and hanging his other hand on the swaddle. When he saw Namakazi Manato, after coming in, he gestured to slap on the swaddling clothes. Stop. Call out. A specially made kunai attacked the man in the black robe mask, who just waved his head slightly and escaped the blow. But the next moment, Namakazi Manato's figure appeared beside the black-robed masked man, and he reached out to grab the baby. I don't know if it was intentional or unintentional, but Namakazi Manato grabbed the swaddle so easily, and the man in black robe instantly pulled away from it, and a deep laughter came out of his throat. Advertisement chi chi chi. The sound of something burning appeared. As a ninja, Namakazi Manato was all too familiar with this sound. He didn't have time to think about it. As soon as he turned over the swaddling clothes, he saw that a detonating talisman was pasted on the swaddling clothes. Is burning. F#7. Namakazi Manato started flying Thunder God technique without even thinking, and disappeared suddenly with the swaddling clothes. Who is it? Sarutobi Hiruzen had also rushed in, and his eyes were split when he saw Lake Sarutobi lying in a pool of blood on the ground. Oh, isn't this Hokage-sama, but be careful, if you scare me, this woman will die. Beside the bed, the man in the black robe masked Uzumaki Kushina's throat with kunai, and pressed the other hand on his forehead, and a mantra emerged, sealing Uzumaki Kushina's mind. Also, I'm kind-hearted, people on Earth haven't died yet, so don't embarrass me too much, I'm just here to take one thing. This woman is not my goal, I'll give her back to you later. While speaking, his figure began to distort, even with Uzumaki Kushina, no li how. But in the blink of an eye, the two disappeared together. Sarutobi Hiruzen's heart sank a little bit. He had already discovered that someone was secretly plotting tonight. It seemed that they wanted to seek Nine Tails, which was definitely not good news for him. Yes. All of this happened in a flash, and after Sarutobi Hiruzen reacted, the black-robed mask and the Vortex Kushina were gone. No, it's the direction of Manato's house, please subscribe. There, a spark emerged. A muffled sound came from the village. Sarutobi Hiruzen's face was gloomy, and he didn't have time to think about it. He stepped forward to check the status of his wife and the medical ninja on the ground, and then he was slightly relieved, and then rushed out without saying a word, looking towards in the direction of the village. Notify the Jonin class to gather, and arrange for the villagers to evacuate, hurry up. Boom. Chapter 174 Nine Tails Runaway, please subscribe. The whole Konoha seemed to come alive at this moment. No, it was agitated. Ninjas came from all directions, or rushed out of their homes, or went berserk on the street, or ran fast on the roof, some heading towards the location where they just exploded, and the other towards Sarutobi Hiruzen where to gather. Soon, Sarutobi Hiruzen was surrounded by people, and at this time, less than a minute had passed, and the ninja's mobility could be seen as Madara. Nine Tails Jinchuriki was kidnapped. Now, each of them goes to defend the important places in the village. The other group arranges for the villagers to evacuate. At the same time, they notify the various ninjas and ask them to send their personnel. There may be big trouble tonight. Sarutobi didn't talk nonsense at all, and made arrangements directly. The fourth generation was absent, and his third generation project was naturally on top. Master third generation, Master Hokage was not injured. He has settled the child and is now looking for Master Kushina. A ninja suddenly appeared and knelt down. Okay, I understand, let's all perform the task. Yes. And the ninjas came and went quickly, almost in the blink of an eye, and only Sarutobi Hiruzen and a few Anbu ninjas were left. He didn't delay, and immediately went to the Huo 953 Shadow Building. It is foreseeable that the village behind will definitely become chaotic. At this time, someone needs to be in charge, and this person can only be him now. The other side. Namakazi Manato's home has been blown up. At the critical moment just now, he subconsciously launched Flying Thunder God, and the time and space coordinates were also subconsciously chosen, and the one he was most familiar with was his own home, so he returned home. After tearing off the swaddling clothes in an instant, he used the Flying Thunder God technique to instantly move outside the door, and the house behind him exploded in the next moment. Fortunately, he is Hokage, and there are no ordinary people around his residence, so there are no casualties here. Pulling off a wooden thorn that was stabbed in his leg with a blank face, Namakazi Manato glanced at the child in his arms. The explosion did not affect him, which was a fortune in misfortune. Saw. Namakazi Manato once again performed the Flying Thunder God technique and disappeared, and when he appeared, it was already in another room that he created and prepared. Putting the child on the bed carefully, Namakazi Manato disappeared again. He didn't even have time to say a word to the child. He appeared beside many ninjas and said directly, I'm going to find Kushina, everyone, protect the Beta village. The words fell and disappeared again. Advertisement. On the outskirts of the village, in an open space, Uzumaki Kushina was bound with her limbs and stood on the ground. A mass of chakra was pulled from her body. The bright red chakra overflowed from her nose and mouth. Call. Beside him, the black-robed masked man made marks with his hands, and one foot stepped on an open scroll. The incantations poured out from the scroll, climbed up Kushina's body, and converged on his abdomen, chiseled like a chisel. The tailed beast seal on her body. This is a kind of brute force cracking, but it is also a means prepared by Shi Shangyang in advance. Any violence will not cause much damage to Jinchuriki itself, and everything has long been calculated by Shi Shangyang. By the way, is there really no problem? Sister Kushina, you can hold on. These are all arranged by that B********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** I'm just a scoundrel, all this it has nothing to do with me, please. The black-robed masked man is naturally Uchiha Obito. When he said this, he also increased the output of chakra and wanted to speed up the extraction of the tailed beast chakra. Saw. Not far away, Namakazi Manato suddenly appeared. Seeing the scene in front of him, his teeth were almost clenched. Kushina. Namakazi Manato rushed up without any hesitation, but had to stop at the next moment, because Uchiha Obito took out the kunai with his other hand and put it on Uzumaki Kushina's neck again. Humph, if you don't want her to die now, you'd better not move. When he said this, Uchiha Obito's voice trembled a little. No way, facing the teacher, he was still a little bit unable to let go. From the beginning, if he hadn't been thinking about Shi Shangyang's explanation, this scene would have been overwhelmed long ago. Namakazi Manato took a deep breath and clenched his fists. He really didn't dare to step forward at this time. Don't worry, I'll be fast, I'm not interested in your wife, cough. After speaking, Uchiha Obito was somewhat guilty, which was a bit abnormal no matter how you looked at it. For this reason, he subconsciously gathered up the clothes on Vortex Kushina's body, so as not to stumble. But he didn't know that this kind of action fell in the eyes of Namakazi Manato, and it was more of a provocation. Who are you? Namakazi Manato said solemnly. Uchiha Obito chuckled and whispered. It doesn't matter who I am, it doesn't matter if I don't do anything else, this woman is safe. 99. During the conversation, the chakra of 9 tails had been enclosed in a large water tank beside him. It was said to be a water tank, and all the incantations were densely packed on it. This thing is a one-time item, and the chakra of the tailed beast cannot be used like this. The thing was sealed for a long time, but it was enough to transfer the tailed beast. Huh, have a good time, I finally succeeded, advertisement. Thinking like this, Uchiha Obito fed Uzumaki Kushina a pill without a trace, and without any hesitation, cast Kamui again, and disappeared with Uzumaki Kushina. Damn. 99 Namakazi Manato once again sensed the disappearance of the Flying Thunder God mark on his wife, and his heart became heavy. At the same time, Uchiha Obito appeared in the woods on the other side of the village, wiped his sweat, and waited quietly here. Saw. A figure appeared, but it was Shi Shangyang. Done? Shi Shangyang asked. Uchiha Obito nodded and took out the big water tank from the selection space. As you said, this is the masculine chakra stripped from 9 tails. Seeing this, Shi Shangyang nodded, put his hand on the big water tank, and disappeared. Tisk, it's really indifferent, come out, 9 tails. Saying that, he made a seal with his hands and pressed it on Uzumaki Kushina's abdomen. He hugged Uzumaki Kushina's body, placed it gently on the ground, and then said to himself, Sister Kushina, you should just take a nap, just wake up when you wake up, soon, 99. Uchiha Obito said, cast Kamui again, disappeared, and when he reappeared, he was already on a street on the outskirts of the village. It should be fine here. The next moment, the oppressive chakra spread out from the Vortex Kushina's body. The scarlet chakra was like blood, and instantly wrapped the entire body of Uzumaki Kushina. Immediately, an earth-shattering roar broke out. Please subscribe. A huge figure suddenly appeared in the village, and the 9 tails rioted, instantly destroying everything around them. Roar. Chapter 175. Master Apprentice Showdown, subscribe. Boom. The earth was shaking, and the earth-shattering roar spread like a dull thunder, and all who heard the sound instantly felt a strange heaviness. At this moment, in Konoha, as long as anyone in any corner looks up, they can see an extremely huge monster swinging 9 huge tails, destroying everything in front of them. No, it's 9 tails, help. Damn, 9 tails has gone wild. Where's Hokage-sama? Go and inform Hokage-sama. Everyone, 9 tails can't be allowed into the village, come on, 35. In an instant, the entire Konoha was thrown into chaos. No one would have imagined that on such a peaceful night, the village would suddenly be attacked by 9 tails. This is completely unimaginable. Somewhere among the leaves, in the deep underground space, there are corridors of covered bridges connecting the walls. In the center, there is a chair hidden in the darkness. One person sits on it and is listening to the report of his subordinates. 9 tails, has it really appeared? The person hiding in the darkness said. Yes, Lord Danzo, 9 tails has appeared, and now they are destroying the village. Do we need to act? A ninja at the first said indifferently. The figure hidden in the dark is Shimura Danzo. He shook his head slightly when he heard the words, and then said, no, just wait and see what happens. In addition, you send someone to guard outside the clan of the Uchiha clan, so that they are not allowed to intervene this time. Matter. Yes. Saw. The ninja disappeared, and Shimura Danzo, who was hiding in the darkness, got up and stepped into the area shrouded in light. The light cast a shadow on his face, making his whole person seem to be covered with a layer of gray, as if to merge with the darkness, as one. 9 tails, it doesn't matter, such a loss is a necessary price, everything is for the prosperity of Konoha, from now on, let me bear the darkness of Konoha. 35. Saying so to himself, Shimura Danzo returned to the darkness and sat down on the chair again. Advertisement outside, the entire Konoha was in chaos at this time, and there were cries and exclamations everywhere. The huge 9 tails displayed terrifying destructive power at this time. Tit. The houses and the leaves were just like sticky toys. Just swipe over it with a single paw, and a piece of ruins appeared. It took almost a few breaths to destroy a block. Even though the ninjas knew that there was an irreparable gap between themselves and Nine Tails, they still attacked Nine Tails without fear of death. But the end result was a tragic end. Those ninjas were either injured by the movements made by Nine Tails, or they were slapped and flew out by Nine Tails. Even if the ninjutsu hit Nine Tails, it did not have any effect on it. In the dark, Uchiha Obito saw sweat on his forehead, and his whole person was not very well. His Sharingan was spinning frantically, and his pupil power was passing very quickly. Damn, that guy Yang didn't tell me that it is so difficult to control Nine Tails, and it's even more difficult if you keep your hands. If this goes on, I won't be able to support it for too long. All of you Konoha, you must come on, hurry up and drive Nine Tails out of the village. It's hard for me to pretend like this. If this is replaced by Blacken's Obito, after controlling Nine Tails, it only needs to place Nine Tails in the village, and Nine Tails can do the rest by himself, and he doesn't need to control him at all. But now Obito doesn't have Blacken. He has a pure nature, and he really can't do anything to destroy Konoha, so he has to work hard to control the Nine Tails, that is, to make a crazy look, and be careful not to let the Nine Tails if it really caused any serious damage to Konoha. Even with those ninjas, he had to be careful not to let Nine Tails kill him. In this case, it's easy to have a ghost. Stretch out, Rui. With a loud shout, there was a long stick in the Konoha that quickly extended, and one head directly hit Nine Tails' chest. Konoha's tall fence, and then directly pushed it out of Konoha. It was Lord Third Hokage who shot it. Ah, great, finally got Nine Tails out. Lord Third Generation. The ninjas let out a cheer, and they were all overjoyed. They are happy, but someone is happier than them. Uchiha Obito was obviously relieved. Just now, he managed to control Nine Tails without letting it make any unnecessary moves, and let the wishful stick push it out of the village. Haha, Lord Third Generation is really old and strong, amazing, 99. Advertisement. For flowers. Zero Uchiha Obito cheered and hurriedly cut off the contact with Nine Tails' pupil power, but did not cancel Sharingan's control over him. He had to keep some pupil power just in case. Nine Tails' side would come in handy in the future. Then, now it's time to hold off Mr. Manato. Let Nine Tails hold on here for a while. Mr. Manato is not easy to deal with. Uchiha Obito had a bit of a headache, but he proceeded to the next step according to the plan he had agreed upon in advance. The figure disappeared, and when it reappeared, it was already in a forest. Here, he didn't change anything, but stood quietly at a distance and waited for this. Crash. A chain fell down, and the two ends were attached to the iron ring at his wrist. Seeing that everything was almost ready, Uchiha Obito felt relieved. I hope the information given by that guy Yang is fine. The teacher Manato of Master Flying Thunder God technique is very strong. I hope he won't be beaten too badly for a while. That guy Yang will definitely let him release it to me after this time. A leave. Thinking like this, after a while, a figure appeared not far in front of him. It was Namakazi Manato who came from where he cast Flying Thunder God. Uchiha Obito has a lot of inner drama, but at this time, he still pretended to be calm and sneered in a low voice. Why do you want to do this? Namakazi Manato said solemnly. Uchiha Obito used the most cowardly attitude and said the most arrogant words. If it wasn't for a mask, Namakazi Manato would have been able to see the corners of Uchiha Obito's twitching mouth. He. Fourth Hokage of Konoha, you shouldn't be here. You know your heads are worth a lot of money. 35. The lines that guy Yang gave, it really makes me feel ashamed. Sure enough, you found it? As expected of Mr. Manato. Namakazi Manato already knew what happened in the village and was just about to take action against Nine Tails, but seeing that Nine Tails had been driven out of the village, he decided to find the man in black robe first, and if he didn't solve the culprit, he would even deal with Nine Tails. Also to no avail. Please subscribe, only. I just think it's very interesting. I want to see if the powerful Konoha can resist an existence like Nine Tails. Don't you think it's very interesting? Chapter 176 Obito dies. Subscribe. Faced with Namakazi Manato, Uchiha Obito is actually very unhappy, because he knows how powerful his teacher really is. That kind of power does not mean that the opponent will be more or less powerful in ninjutsu, but the pure ninja talent, able to grasp any detail in the battle, and to make the battle emotional intelligence full of power, every time you fight with it, makes Uchiha Obito feel like a fool. It is precisely because of this that he feels very difficult, and he always feels that even if he has the ability of Hollow himself, he might be beaten up today. Nothing else, just a hunch, and this hunch is still very strong. Hey. Therefore, Uchiha Obito used a deep laugh to hide his embarrassment and panic, and lowered his body slightly, ready to attack. Namakazi Manato looked solemn, holding kunai tightly in his hand, while also staring at the black-robed masked man. Time passed by second, and at a certain moment, the two moved at the same time. Laugh. 953. Kunai lashed out, heading towards Uchiha Obito. And Uchiha Obito is not flickering, letting kunai fly towards his head. He stretches out his hands and hugs Namakazi Manato the moment he gets close. Kunai penetrated Uchiha Obito's head. In hollow state, Uchiha Obito did not have any damage, and this scene was also seen by Namakazi Manato. His pupils shrunk. Saw. But the next moment, Namakazi Manato's figure disappeared from Uchiha Obito's face. Uchiha Obito was startled but reacted instantly. Boom! A bright ball of light penetrated his body and hit the ground directly, instantly smashing the ground into a huge pit, more than 10 meters in diameter, and a terrifying shockwave swept toward the surrounding like a gust of wind. Saw! Namakazi Manato's figure disappeared and reappeared in another direction. In the smoke, Uchiha Obito's voice came out. Is it the Flying Thunder God technique? It is indeed a troublesome technique, but I have already seen through your abilities, so it is ineffective for me. That said, but Uchiha Obito was full of fear at this time. Fortunately, I know that the teacher will use the Flying Thunder God technique, and I know that this blow will definitely not work, and I have always maintained the hollow state, otherwise it will be really troublesome. 5. Saw! Namakaze Manato's figure reappeared, but he instantly appeared beside Uchiha Obito. What? Uchiha Obito was startled, but reacted instantly, turning around and grabbing at Namakaze Manato. Advertisement the next moment, Namakaze Manato's figure disappeared again, leaving Uchiha Obito's grab to be empty. Where? Uchiha Obito was very nervous, still maintaining the hollow effect, and did not dare to act rashly. Saw! Namakaze Manato reappears, still beside Uchiha Obito. What troublesome ability! Uchiha Obito forced himself to lift his spirits, otherwise he would be distracted at all, because he knew that any carelessness of his own could lead to disaster. Not surprisingly, just as he was about to react, Namakaze Manato disappeared again. What does the teacher want to do? Uchiha Obito found that he couldn't keep up with Namakaze Manato's thinking, and he didn't understand what the other party was going to do. He appeared and disappeared so suddenly, which made him very helpless. Saw! Uchiha Obito saw a figure appearing beside him in the corner of his light. This time, he did not rashly reach out to grab it, but chose to step back and distance himself from him. Because this time, Namakaze Manato did not use the Flying Thunder God technique. Hey, it's really a troublesome ability. Konoha's Hokage Lord, it's powerful enough to make people scared, Uchiha Obito said. If you listen carefully, it is not difficult to find that Uchiha Obito's voice is a little trembling at this moment, not afraid, but purely nervous. God knows how much pressure he was under at that moment, and even for a moment, he would feel that the teacher would seize a gap in his ability and a Rasengan smashed himself in the face. Thanks to his being in the hollow state just now, those actions that reach out are also false moves, otherwise the consequences will be really serious. Namakaze Manato didn't respond, just stared at this Uchiha Obito, and then the figure suddenly disappeared. Again. Uchiha Obito was startled because Namakaze Manato appeared next to him again. At this time, Namakaze Manato did not disappear, but turned over and kicked Uchiha Obito's head. Good chance. Seeing this, Uchiha Obito was instantly overjoyed, and without thinking, he stretched out his hand, letting that kick penetrate his head, and then left the hollow state at the next moment. Snapped. Uchiha Obito was overjoyed when he felt the touch in his hand. But the next moment, his hand suddenly lightened. Saw! Namakaze Manato's figure disappeared again, and what remained in Uchiha Obito's hands was just a Hokage robe. What? Uchiha Obito panicked, and a bad premonition suddenly appeared in his heart. Advertisement the next moment, there was a sharp pain in the lower back. Puff! Uchiha Obito could clearly feel that his lower back was penetrated by a sharp weapon, and the pain was too intense. Without any hesitation, he activated his hollow ability again, and got out of this state. He hurriedly pulled away and flew back, covering his lower back with one hand, and his face under the mask was very ugly. I knew it, damn it, why did that guy Yang arrange for me to carry out such a task, why didn't he come? Uchiha Obito was very angry, but now he wants to leave directly, facing his teacher Namakaze Manato, he really can't bear the idea of fighting. This is not to say that he is too weak, it's just that Obito in Blackened state in the original plot has nothing to do with Namakaze Manato, let alone Obito without Blacken. The current Uchiha Obito looks at the entire ninja world, and he is definitely the top ones. Even Hollow's ability is incomprehensible, but only encountering Namakaze Manato is like encountering a nemesis. Saw! Uchiha Obito's pupils shrank, and in front of him, Namakaze Manato suddenly appeared, and at the same time, he was stabbed again in the stomach. Severe pain came, but what made him panic even more was the incantation spreading on his body. Contract seal. In an instant, Uchiha Obito understood Namakaze Manato's plan. You'll pay for what you've done, Namakaze Manato said solemnly. Feeling that he was cut off from Nine Tails, Uchiha Obito did not hesitate to act, and the surrounding space began to distort, and the space vortex wrapped him and Namakaze Manato inside. Namakaze Manato frowned, released his hand, launched the Flying Thunder God technique, and disappeared, appearing several meters away. 3.0. Uchiha Obito coughed a few times, blood dripping down the lower edge of the mask. As expected of His Excellency Hokage, he is indeed amazing, but there is still a day when we will meet again. But at this time he was very anxious. Damn, why doesn't that guy Yang show up? If he doesn't show up again, how can I leave the stage? Just when he thought so, a figure suddenly appeared beside him, and then a hand penetrated Uchiha Obito's chest without warning, dripping blood instantly. Ahe! Uchiha Obito was startled, endured the pain, his face was distorted under the mask, but he still spoke the lines as he had said before. Who are you guys? With that hand withdrawn, Uchiha Obito collapsed weakly, the blood dyed the ground red in an instant, and his breath quickly disappeared. This was not a fake death, but a real death. It was none other than Shi Shangyang. Chapter 177 Shi Shangyang debuts. Please subscribe. I was really happy to see such an interesting scene as soon as I came here. Shi Shangyang opened his mouth with joy in his tone. Shi Shangyang. Namakazi Manato broke Shi Shangyang's identity. Hey, how did you know it was me? I'm obviously pretending to be. Shi Shangyang was still dressed in that mask, and he didn't actually plan to hide his identity, so it's not surprising that Namakazi Manato called out his name, but he still had to wear it. Namakazi Manato didn't say much, frowned, and looked at the black-robed masked man lying on the ground with some doubts in his heart. Are you guessing why I want to kill this guy? Shi Shangyang took off his mask, revealed his true colors, and said with a smile. I just don't want to be disturbed in the next battle. The next moment, Shi Shangyang made a seal with both hands. Fire-style fire extinguishing, 35 when he opened his mouth. A sea of fire rushed toward the place where Namakazi Manato was located like a huge wave. Namakazi Manato showed a startled expression, and without any hesitation, he launched the Flying Thunder God technique. The figure disappeared instantly, but he had already left this area. It is really the power of Shi Shangyang, wide. The flames spread, covering the surroundings in an instant, burning roaringly, illuminating a large area of the night sky. As soon as Shi Shangyang thought about it, he collected a purple card that Namakazi Manato had just released. Drop. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the ability card Flying Thunder Formation Technique, Close Black Lens Bracket. Dip. Congratulations to the host's ability card, Flying Thunder Array Technique, which has been increased by 6 times, and upgraded to ability card Flying Thunder Array Technique, Grandmaster. Flying Thunder Formation Technique. Shi Shangyang was startled, and then he remembered what this technique was. Different from the Flying Thunder God technique, this Flying Thunder Array Technique requires 3 people to perform together, and can transfer 1 person to a fixed area. It is a low-quality simplified version of Flying Thunder God. It cannot be used in battle, and can only be regarded as personnel, a means of delivery. But it is a good harvest, at least Shi Shangyang thinks it is not bad. He looked down at Uchiha Obito, kicked the guy's body with his feet, and said, Stop pretending, the person has already left. Advertisement. Uchiha Obito broke out with a violent cough, and slowly stood up with trembling arms. There was still a lot of blood on his body, but the place where the hole in his clothes was exposed, which should have been a hole, was growing rapidly at this time. Granulation, repairing at a speed visible to the naked eye. It turned out that the remaining pill was prepared for me. I thought I would die if I couldn't take it any longer. Uchiha Obito complained. Shi Shangyang helplessly held his forehead. That pill is for Uzumaki Kushina. If you hadn't taken it wisely, I wouldn't have come out now. Ah, isn't it for me? Uchiha Obito was a little dazed. Shi Shangyang was speechless and said, Isn't it possible to use Izanagi? Didn't you get a few Sharingans from Black Zetsu? Why didn't you activate it just now? Ah yes. It was discussed before, I forgot. Uchiha Obito slapped the palm of his hand with a look of sudden realization, then scratched his head and said, No way, I was too nervous just now, you know, that's Mr. Manato, you asked me to fight him, it's very difficult for me to persevere. It's easy, after all I can't reveal too much. It is not easy for him to perform like this, and he is right. It is really not something that ordinary people can do to deal with Namakazi Manato without revealing too much information, especially since he has to follow the script. In the end, he has to exit the stage with death, and any negligence may be exposed. Shi Shangyang shook his head when he heard the words, knowing that it would be a little difficult for this guy to be more strict, so he said, It's almost there, you can leave the stage, I'll do the rest. Uchiha Obito breathed a sigh of relief, and then hurriedly said, Okay, the rest has nothing to do with me, and I'm going to take a vacation. Shi Shangyang just waved his hand when he heard the words, and then his figure disappeared in a flash. Seeing this, Uchiha Obito pouted and did not stay in place. He activated Kamui, and his body disappeared into the vortex of space. On the other side, Nine Tails, who was raging in Konoha village, was opening his mouth wide, and his mouth was accumulating violent energy, forming a dark chakra ball, and Tailed Beast Bomb was taking shape little by little. The position where the Nine Tails is aligned is exactly where the Shadow Rock of Konoha is located, and between the Nine Tails and the Shadow Rock, it is also the entire Konoha village. If this Tailed Beast Bomb flies out, it will definitely knock the entire Konoha. Most of them are destroyed, and Shadow Rock will also be destroyed at the same time. It won't let you down, Nine Tails. Saw. A figure appeared not far in front of Nine Tails, and then his hands formed a seal. It was Namakazi Manato who left the battlefield from Shi Shangyang. His face was serious at this time, and after finishing the seal, he opened his hands, and there was an incantation in the air in front of him, densely packed like a spider web. Flying Thunder God Guide Thunder. The next moment, Tailed Beast Bomb finally shot out from Nine Tails. Boom. Advertisement. The huge Tailed Beast Bomb, like a cannonball, shot towards the location of Namakazi Manato in an instant, but was blocked by the incantation like a spider web in midair. Then I saw the spider web-like incantation, tightening little by little, like squeezing toothpaste, engulfing the huge Tailed Beast Bomb until it finally disappeared. Roar. Nine Tails roared, feeling provoked. At this time, Nine Tails had escaped from Uchiha Obito's control and recovered, but it was precisely because of this that it became more violent, the kind of humiliation that Nine Tails was unwilling to face. Without Uchiha Obito's restriction 953, Nine Tails now has only one idea in his head, that is to destroy everything in front of him, and destroy this village that has been humiliated for decades. But at this moment, a figure suddenly appeared on its head. It is Shi Shangyang. Well, everyone is here. 35. Shi Shangyang put his hands around his chest, condescending, and with the high head of Nine Tails, the whole person showed a different kind of hockey. Roar. Nine Tails sensed that there was a person on his head, and immediately became furious and roared. But the next moment, Shi Shangyang kicked him back with this roar. Boom. Shi Shangyang. Sarutobi hears and wondered. With a muffled sound, Nine Tails' roar stopped abruptly. Please subscribe. At this time, Konoha shinobi people gathered around where Namakazi Manato was located below, and the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen had also arrived, panting. Manato, what happened over there just now? I saw a fire outside the village. Namakazi Manato nodded, pointing to Nine Tails' head. He's over there. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked up and saw Shi Shangyang, who was sitting cross-legged on the head of Nine Tails, and his heart sank. Shut up, you're noisy. Namakazi Manato said. I encountered an enemy, but it has been resolved, and Shi Shangyang resolved it. Shi Shangyang simply sat down directly on Nine Tails' head. Chapter 178 The Performance of the Villain. Please subscribe. Shi Shangyang rested his chin in one hand and smiled brightly. He looked at the nervous or hesitant people below, as if they were visiting, with a playful taste. Everyone is a little too nervous, everyone. I came here for no other purpose, just to destroy Konoha. With the calmest attitude, he said the most terrifying words. His voice was not loud, but it clearly fell into the ears of everyone on the scene, causing everyone's expressions to change drastically. If someone else said this, the people present were sure to sneer, but this was said by Shi Shangyang, which made them not believe the credibility of the words. Having experienced the last Orochimaru defection, anyone who has seen Shi Shangyang knows his strength, that strength is despairing, and now everyone's heart can't help sinking, and their hearts are even more uneasy. Everyone watched. The originally manic Nine Tails, for some reason, actually showed fear at this time, and allowed Shi Shangyang to sit on his head. The scene was very strange. Shi Shangyang. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked heavy and shouted loudly. You can't even think about it. I won't let you hurt Konoha even if I die. Yes. Fight with him. Protect Konoha. This is our home. This guy is absolutely not allowed to destroy like this. Kill him. Luo following Sarutobi Hiruzen's statement, the surrounding ninjas were immediately inspired, and they all stared at Shi Shangyang with indignant expressions, wishing they would rush to kill him now. He. Shi Shangyang suddenly laughed. At first, he only laughed softly, but then he seemed to be unable to bear it any longer, covering his face and laughing loudly. The spirit of everyone is really touching, Lord Third Hokage. Is this the will of fire you often say? Burning yourself to illuminate others is what it is, right? Shi Shangyang said slightly sarcastically. Sarutobi Hiruzen's expression remained unchanged, and he said solemnly, the will of fire is not something you can make fun of, and it is not something that a rebel like you can understand. Shi Shangyang nodded, without any intention to refute. You're right, I don't really understand the will of fire, because in my opinion, it's just a pretext for people to die. Of course, it's also a kind of self-impression. A healthy group does not need it at all. Use some kind of excuse or pretext to let everyone die, but you can come up with such a way to make people identify with Konoha village. It is not easy. When Shi Shangyang said this, the people at the scene were naturally unhappy, and the anger on their faces could no longer be suppressed. Shi Shangyang patted Nine Tails' fur with a smile, and then came to Nine Tails' forehead behind him. A figure slowly emerged from the fur, but it was Uzumaki Kushina, who had fallen into a coma. Advertisement at this time, the state of Nine Tails is not separated from Jinuriki, but in the Rampage of the Tailed Beast, which is a manifestation of Jinchuriki's loss of control over the tailed beast in his body, so there is still the most basic connection between the Whirlpool Kushina and Nine Tails. Seeing this scene, Namakazi Manato's pupils shrank, and his teeth were about to break. But he didn't have a good way, because at this time he didn't dare to step forward to save Kushina. At this time, there was only a weak connection between Uzumaki Kushina and Nine Tails. If this connection was cut off, Nine Tails there will be complete separation from Jinchuriki, and the result is Jinchuriki's death. This is something Namakazi Manato cannot accept anyway. Also able to see this clearly is Sarutobi Hiruzen, who at this time has a very unsightly face and is also very hesitant. Want to save him? Shi Shangyang said and stood up, took a few steps back in front of everyone, came to Uzumaki Kushina's side, leaned down and looked at it, then smiled slightly. Jinchuriki's state doesn't look very good, the vitality is weak, chakra is disordered, and he no longer has the ability to control Nine Tails. Forget it, I will do a good thing. 35. While speaking, he directly pulled Uzumaki Kushina out of Nine Tails' forehead under everyone's attention. Stop. Do not. Namakazi Manato's eyes were split, but he still didn't dare to make any extra moves, because he could see that Shi Shangyang's hand was on his wife's neck intentionally or unintentionally. Sarutobi Hiruzen wanted to rush up now, but he also didn't dare to act rashly. The smile on Shi Shangyang's face remained unchanged. The moment he put Uzumaki Kushina on his shoulder and put his hand down, he put a special pill into Uzumaki Kushina's mouth from an angle that was difficult for others to notice, and squeezed his throat with the other hand. The pill was swallowed unconsciously. He is acting like a big villain now, with a playful smile on his face. He glanced at the person under his eyes, and then smiled. Do you care so much about her? Well, I'll give it to you. 39. While speaking, Shi Shangyang directly exerted force, like throwing a stone, and threw Uzumaki Kushina down. Call out. He was obviously alone, but now he made a sound of breaking the air. Saw. Namakazi Manato didn't hesitate. The moment Uzumaki Kushina was thrown, the figure disappeared, and the next moment he appeared beside Uzumaki Kushina, hugged him firmly, and the figure disappeared again. Advertisement seeing this, the others sighed in relief. Everyone, don't let him damage the village, listen to my orders and attack. 9. Seeing this, Sarutobi Hiruzen also gave the order without any hesitation. Yes. Kill him. 9 tails must not be allowed into the village. The ninjas present responded, and then one by one they launched their attacks on 9 tails again. In an instant, the shuriken was flying all over the sky, the detonating talisman was roaring, and various ninjutsu people called 9 tails without money. In an instant, the sound of roaring continued, and the light of various ninjas illuminated the night sky. Even the 9 tails, the more they retreated in the face of such an attack, the concentrated fire attacks of many ninjas looked very terrifying. However, in the end 9 tails is 9 tails. Shi Shangyang directly released his control over 9 tails. The latter fell into a frenzy instantly, and in his rage, completely ignored the ninjutsu that hit him. Zhang Mo, Nuo Zhao's, roaring and smashing a large piece of ninjutsu with a wave of his claws. Boom! Toad Wen Tai appeared. Finally, Namakazi Manato appeared again. Summoning technique. The earth trembled under the claws of 9 tails, while the violent chakra was restless. 9 tails used its unparalleled destructive power to directly destroy all the ninjutsu attacks that hit it, those kunai detonating charms and so on, even more so. The hair on its body could not be destroyed, and it was directly ignored by it. In that case, there is no way for tonight's play to continue. The huge white smoke exploded, and then a huge monster appeared in the distance of 9 tails. Boom! Some people's ninjutsu was aimed at Shi Shangyang, but it was also destroyed by 9 tails. At this time, 9 tails was still under Shi Shangyang's control. If it wasn't for Shi Shangyang's strength, 9 tails only needed a forward jump to make the scene of the ninja killed and injured a large number of lungs. Chapter 179 True and False 9 Tails Battle. Subscribe. Chapter 179 True and False 9 Tails Battle. Shi Shangyang noticed the appearance of Namakazi Manato at the first time, but he did not stop his next move. With the cooperation of Namakazi Manato, he can achieve his goal tonight. Destroying Konoha or something is not necessary now. Because if he really wants to destroy Konoha at this time, then he can only go to the front of the stage, otherwise the situation will be directly in time and space, and the Third Ninja War, which has not been completely ended by then, will directly enter into an even crazier degree. In this way, Tien Jikun will have no time to develop, and Shi Shangyang will also lose the possibility of transforming the ninja world. This is not to say that he cannot change the entire ninja world in that situation. It is just like Uchiha Madara. He chose to suppress the ninja world with power, but in that case, many ideas cannot be implemented. Under pressure, there must be resistance. This is an eternal truth. Shi Shangyang didn't want to put his limited energy on this kind of shit. As soon as Wen Tai appeared, he found the 9 tails that was raging, and was shocked. Manato, this guy is not easy to deal with, you have to be mentally prepared. Wen Tai's voice was dull like rolling thunder, resounding in the battlefield. Namakazi Manato, who was standing on Wen Tai's head, had a heavy face and nodded. I know, Wen Tai. I am going to join the transformation technique. Well, I see. Toad 972 began to seal. That's right, the big toad is indeed forming a seal, but it only has 3 fingers, and the way of forming the seal is different from that of normal humans. And Namakazi Manato is also in the process of forming the seal. The seals of both sides are completed at the same time. Namakazi Manato pressed his hand on the forehead of the toad, and shouted, Ninja Joint Transformation Technique, 99. Boom. Another white smoke burst out, and then there was another 9 tails. Compared with the real 9 tails, this 9 tails has no difference in appearance. It is also extremely fierce. There is a huge movement between the 9 huge long tails. The body is low and the teeth are grinning. But if you look closely, you can still tell the difference. The 9 tails under the joint transformation, lacking the violent chakra of the 9 tails, without the 9 tails of the 9 tails chakra, at most can only be regarded as having its shape but no god, and since it is a transformation technique, then it is destined to not last long, and there will naturally be a time limit. When Shi Shangyang saw this scene, the corners of his mouth twitched slightly. He instantly understood what Namakazi Manato and Toad Wentai were planning, and did not stop him, and then controlled the 9 tails under his feet, weakening the intensity of its movements. Roar. Advertisement. The fake 9 tails roared at the real 9 tails, then swiped with 4 claws, and rushed over in an instant, directly biting the neck of the real 9 tails. Really 9 tails made a resistance action, roaring again and again, but was pulled back by the powerful impact. It is good. Great. 35, Nine Tails was kicked out. Everyone, it's up to us, we must protect the village. The ninjas cheered, and then followed up one by one. The real Nine Tails has been dragged out by the fake Nine Tails for more than a kilometer. At this distance, although it will still cause damage to the village, it is not as nervous as before. At this time, Shi Shangyang loosened his control a little, and the real Nine Tails immediately turned over, pressed the fake Nine Tails under his body, raised his head and roared, and then bit into the neck of the fake Nine Tails. Fake Nine Tails is struggling, but in terms of strength, the summoning beast, Toadbunta, can't compare to Nine Tails, who is a tail beast. Even if the two are really different in size, the result is that still incomparable. The fake Nine Tails couldn't struggle at all, and soon the real Nine Tails bit the neck. The real Nine Tails shook his head and moved the fake Nine Tails from side to side, full of wildness. Boom! The movement caused by the battle between the two was extremely strong, the ground vibrated violently, and the forest under their feet was destroyed by large tracts. During the battle between the two, the trees flew like grass clippings, and then were thrown far away. Between the tail sweep, it will destroy one after another of the trees. But in the blink of an eye, in the area, Beta, where the two fought, a huge rubble was emptied. Roar! The fake Nine Tails stood up, his legs shoved away the real Nine Tails that were pressing on it, and without any hesitation, he turned around and ran into the distance. This is the strategy. Seeing this, Shi Shangyang smiled even more and let Nine Tails chase after him by his wild domination. The two ran away and chased, but only after running a few kilometers, the fake Nine Tails was directly knocked down by the real Nine Tails. The huge mouth of the real Nine Tails opened, biting the throat of the fake Nine Tails again. But the next moment, with a loud bang, it was time for the fake Nine Tails to transform, and after a cloud of white smoke, the fake Nine Tails returned to the shape of Toad Wentai. Clang! Advertisement with a loud bang. Toad Wentai pulled out his long knife and placed it directly on Nine Tails' teeth. Sparks splashed around, trying his best to block Nine Tails' bite. Think of something, Manato, I can't take it anymore. To let the summoned beasts deal with the tailed beasts is really a little embarrassing. Toad Wentai has been able to stalemate with Nine Tails in this state until now. Okay, hold on. Namakazi Manato disappeared in an instant and reappeared the next moment, but this time he brought the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen. Lord Third Generation, please hold Shi Shangyang for at least 1 minute, I need to get rid of Nine Tails first. Namakazi Manato said directly. Sarutobi Hiruzen also knew that the matter was urgent, and nodded. Okay, even if I die, I will hold him for a minute, but what are you going to do? Namakazi Manato looked solemn and said solemnly, I'm going to reseal Nine Tails. Where's the candidate? Sarutobi Hiruzen asked. I want to seal the Nine Tails on Naruto. He has the blood of the Uzumaki family. It will be easier than others to become a Jinchuriki, Namakazi Manato said. Sarutobi Hiruzen opened his mouth to speak, but for the village, this is indeed the best choice, because of the particularity of Nine Tails. The choice of Jinchuriki is generally a ninja with physical fitness and its outstanding performance, and this type of ninja is among Konoha. In addition to the members of the Senju clan, only the Vortex clan can do it. Well, then, it's up to the third generation Sama. Now that the Senju family is in decline, the only one who can take on this important task is the newly born child. While speaking, Sarutobi Hiruzen stared at Shi Shangyang, and then rushed towards him in an instant. Namakazi Manato nodded earnestly, took a deep breath and said, Kushina will agree, everything is for the sake of the village. Have you made up your mind, Manato? Sarutobi Hiruzen asked solemnly. Sarutobi Hiruzen sighed, clenched the wishful stick in his hand, and said solemnly, I understand, then let's do it. Don't worry, I'll finish it in a minute. Chapter 180 Jinchuriki, Sasuke, for subscription. The conversation between Sarutobi Hiruzen and Namakazi Manato was quick and not loud, but Shi Shangyang analyzed the words of the two through the movement of their lips, and immediately understood. He knew that the main event of the night was coming, so Shi Shangyang did not choose to defeat Sarutobi Hiruzen who rushed towards him, but prepared to fight like a normal ninja. Shuriken Shadow Clone Technique. Sarutobi Hiruzen was in the air, and when he waved his hand, it was a piece of shuriken, and his hands were imprinted. Shi Shangyang also made a seal with his hands and opened his mouth, a gust of wind. Wind-style great breakthrough. Boom! Sarutobi Hiruzen's body was hit by the wind blade mixed with the gust of wind, but it exploded into a cloud of white smoke in midair, and then a piece of wood fell down, and he suddenly appeared on the other side, at a slow speed. It was almost in front of Shi Shangyang. To Shi Shangyang's surprise, Sarutobi Hiruzen's other hand was injured, and the Vajra Rui stick had been extended by several dozen meters at this time, and was poking towards him at an extremely fast speed. In terms of Shi Shangyang's speed, he could easily dodge such an attack, but instead of dodging, he crossed his hands to block in front of him, and let the King Kong Rui stick hit his arms, with his body attached. Together they were ejected from Nine Tails' head. Seeing this scene, the ninjas who followed from a distance burst into cheers. Great! As expected of Lord Third Hokage. Okay, that's how it should be, everyone, let's help too. Shi Shangyang fell from Nine Tails and smashed directly into the ground in the distance, instantly smashing the ground into a big hole. The next moment, a waterline suddenly shot out from the smoke and dust, attacking Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was falling from mid-air. Sarutobi Hiruzen's pupils shrank, and he recognized the technique in an instant. Water-style water-severing wave. He knew too well how terrifying the power of this technique was. In his memory, when the teacher Senju Tobirama used this technique, he could even cut off a mountain easily, and the threat he felt now was even greater than what he felt from the teacher. Even stronger. Before I could think about it, Sarutobi Hiruzen and the Vajra Rui rod turned their bodies in mid-air. The next moment, with a bang, there was another person beside him. This Sarutobi Hiruzen grabbed the Vajra Rui rod and turned around abruptly. He was thrown out together with the King Kong Rui stick. The waterline penetrated the avatar. The avatar turned into white smoke and exploded with a bang, and Sarutobi Hiruzen had already landed at this time, secretly surprised, but still rushed towards Shi Shangyang without any hesitation. Advertisement. The smoke dissipated, and Shi Shangyang emerged from it, folded Yuyan's hands, and watched Sarutobi Hiruzen arrive. Brother Wen, hold on, I'll be right back. At this time, Namakazi Manato on the head of Toad Bunta spoke to Bunta, and then the figure disappeared instantly. Hateful. Toad Wentai mumbled, but still held on to Nine Tails and did not retreat. It believed in Namakazi Manato's ability, and at this time, there was no intention to retreat. However, within a few seconds, Namakazi Manato's figure reappeared, along with the languid Uzumaki Kushina and their newly born child Uzumaki Naruto. Uzumaki Kushina's mental state was very poor at this time, and his face was pale and bloodless. If it wasn't for Namakazi Manato's support, he would have been unable to stand at this time, but he was still holding the swaddling clothes. Uzumaki Naruto was still sleeping soundly in the swaddling clothes, and the movement of the fighting outside did not seem to affect him, and he didn't know if it was a natural big nerve. Manato, do you have to do this? Uzumaki Kushina asked weakly. There was a trace of reluctance on her face, and a kind of distress. Namakazi Manato was silent for 2 seconds, then nodded seriously and said solemnly, Sorry Kushina, I'm Hokage, this is my responsibility. 39. But, why should this child bear such a heavy responsibility? He should have an easier life. Uzumaki Kushina said in a low voice. Namakazi Manato's face was heavy, and he hugged Uzumaki Kushina tightly and said, Forgive me, Kushina, at this time, I can't find any other candidates except Naruto. I am Hokage, there is no reason to let other people's children take this responsibility. 55. Uzumaki Kushina was silent for a while. She didn't understand how such a situation was. It was just the mother's nature, which made him subconsciously unwilling to accept it. His child was about to become Nine Tails Jinchuriki, and any mother would be unwilling to change it. Namakazi Manato was about to say something, but Uzumaki Kushina in his arms shook his head. The next moment, her junior suddenly shot out chakra chains, which spread out in the air like fireworks blooming, and like long snakes, they were entangled in Nine Tails who were stalemate with Toad Wentai. Nine Tails roared, and its limbs were instantly entangled. Those chains, together with Wentai Toad, were tied together with Nine Tails, and then the chains gradually tightened. Under such chains, the two behemoths could not even move. Hard to do. Katakana middle dot for flowers 0. Manato, 35 Toad Wentai let out a cry, and instantly released the summoning technique. Boom! Advertisement Toad Wentai turned into white smoke and spread out, and a gust of wind blew up for a while. Immediately, the chain tightened again, tying Nine Tails little by little, and then dragged it towards where Namakazi Manato and Uzumaki Kushina were. Namakazi Manato showed a firm look on his face, took a deep breath, reached out and patted the ground. The ground in front of the two arched up, forming a small platform. Uzumaki Kushina gently placed the swaddle on it, his eyes showing sadness. Let's get started, she whispered, as if afraid of waking up the infant. 0. I'm sorry, Kushina, forgive me. Namakazi Manato said this in a low voice, and then made a seal with both hands. The ghouls are sealed. In an instant, an ugly Shinigami phantom appeared behind Namakazi Manato with his arms wide open. In the middle of Namakazi Manato and Shinigami's phantom, this is a humanoid made of chakra, and that humanoid is nothing but Namakazi Manato's soul. Ha! 99 Namakazi Manato snorted lightly, and Shinigami stabbed one hand into Namakazi Manato's soul, and then saw Namakazi Manato's belly's clothes torn open, an illusory arm sprang out from it, and quickly extended. Almost in an instant, it grew into it with a huge hand. It pierced directly into the body of Nine Tails, and then pulled hard, pulling out an illusory Nine Tails phantom. As soon as the Nine Tails phantom appeared, the Nine Tails exploded with a bang and disappeared into white smoke. Immediately afterwards, the arm grabbed the Nine Tails phantom, controlled by Namakazi Manato, and pressed it towards the baby's belly on the small platform. Saw. A figure suddenly appeared, and then Namakazi Manato felt a flower in front of him, and the child on the small platform seemed to disappear for a moment. Snapped. The phantom arm has now pressed the Nine Tails phantom into the baby's belly. Manato! Uzumaki Kushina exclaimed. Namakazi Manato looked up, only to see Shi Shangyang was holding his child for some time, standing not far away with a smile, and then looked down at the child under his palm, but it was a black-haired baby. This child's name is Sasuke. Uchiha Sasuke. 35 Chapter 181. The ending cannot be changed. Please subscribe. Shi Shangyang held Uzumaki Naruto with a smile on his face. Even at this time, he was still poking around Naruto's nose with his fingers, and the smile on his face was sincere. "Let go of my child." Uzumaki Kushina rushed towards Shi Shangyang like a madman. His body was trembling and his face was pale and bloodless, but he still did it. "Okay, back to you." Shi Shangyang gave Uzumaki Naruto back to Uzumaki Kushina with a slight toss. Kushina, who hugged Naruto again, showed ecstasy on her face, turned around without any hesitation, and revealed her junior to Shi Shangyang, obviously thinking that Shi Shangyang was going to attack, and she was going to use her body to block Naruto. Hit. Poor parents in the world. Shi Shangyang could see it naturally. He had no interest in doing this, and completely ignored Uzumaki 983 Kushina's actions, but bypassed her and walked towards Namakazi Manato. "The seal is still one step away. Why don't you use the 8-sign seal? As long as the 8-sign seal is used, then Jinchuriki's seal of the tailed beast is completely complete," Shi Shangyang asked. Namakazi Manato didn't do what he thought at this time. His mind was in chaos. Just now, under the high concentration and tension, he didn't realize how Shi Shangyang changed the two children, but now, he couldn't do anything anyway. Take the last step. "Is it because this child is not your child, so you can't bear it? If that's the case, then Minato-senpai, you are really kind." Saying that, the smile on Shi Shangyang's face became odd. "Or, you can't do this just because the child's surname is Uchiha. After all, if Uchiha becomes a Jinchuriki, it would be a huge hidden danger for the village, right?" Namakazi Minato's hand shook, and he almost couldn't help pressing the chakra on the child's abdomen and hurriedly calmed down. But Shi Shangyang's words did not mean to stop. "Let me guess, if Uchiha becomes a Jinchuriki, how will Konoha treat Uchiha in the future? Continue to ban them? Or continue to isolate them? Or destroy them directly? I am very looking forward to it." Advertisement. Namakazi Minato took a deep breath and controlled and stabilized Nine Tails Chakra's posture. The shadow of Shinigami still existed behind him, showing that the seal was not over yet. He maintained this state and looked up at Shi Shangyang. "Why are you doing this?" Shi Shangyang smiled and shrugged. "Why do you do this? You can think that I'm bored and want to do something to make my boring life a little more fun. You can also think that I'm revenge on Konoha. After all, I did think about destroying Konoha, but the current situation in the ninja world has made me have to give up this idea, so adding a little block to Konoha will make me very happy. How?" This answer Minato or the seniors still satisfied. Namakazi Minato's face was very ugly, but he also knew that Shi Shangyang said this on purpose to anger him, but he would not be fooled. But Shi Shangyang didn't just end it so easily, and continued. "Why not continue? You can also seal the Nine Tails Chakra in your own body and become the new Nine Tails Jinchuriki. You can also seal it up with ghouls. Look, isn't this option better?" Saying that, Shi Shangyang turned his head to look at Uzumaki Kushina, who was still protecting the child, with a stunned look. "Oh yes, if Jinchuriki is taken away from the tailed beast, he will die, so you don't plan to live alone, right? Wow, is this love? It's really touching." Uzumaki Kushina raised his head suddenly and looked at Namakazi Minato in disbelief. Namakazi Minato seemed to have been told something. He gritted his teeth slightly and exhaled. "Your eyesight is very good." "Oh, thank you for the compliment. It seems that you can't let Konoha lose the Nine Tails, so you definitely won't die with the chakra of the Nine Tails, so you must seal the Nine Tails on this Uchiha child. Or is it sealed on your own son? Is there an answer now?" Namakazi Minato saw sweat on his forehead, and maintaining this state was an extremely terrifying consumption for him. Just this moment of time made him a little bit unable to hold on. But Shi Shangyang's problem made him even more uncomfortable. With such a multiple-choice question, he couldn't make a decision in a short time. It seems that there is no way to make a choice, so how about letting me help you choose?" Shi Shangyang said this, naturally because he has no fear. Namakazi Minato can only maintain this way now. If the Ghoul Seal is cancelled, the Nine Tails Chakra will break out again, and then the Nine Tails will be revealed to the world. But if you don't make a choice, you have to keep going, but for Namakazi Minato, it won't last long at all. Shi Shangyang smiled and stretched out his hand to make a seal. The next moment, the shadow under his feet was smeared like ink. Under the moonlight, the shadow was still a pitch-black color. This pitch-black color spread rapidly, including Namakazi Minato and Uzumaki Kushina almost instantly. Advertisement. At this moment, Namakazi Minato realized that his body could not move. "This is the secret art of the Nara family? That's right." Shi Shangyang smiled and started to seal on the other hand. While he was doing this, Namakazi Minato's other hand was also forming the seal, which was naturally controlled by Shi Shangyang. 8 trigrams. Seal. Almost in a blink of an eye, the seal was completed, and then Shi Shangyang pressed down the hand that originally made the seal. He could only be silent at this time, because everything could not be changed. Uchiha Sasuke became Nine Tails Jinchuriki. It was a foregone conclusion. Wow wow wow. Namakazi Manato was shocked and tried his best to control his movements, but he couldn't shake his control at all. He could only watch his hand and press it gently on the child's abdomen. "Please subscribe." Feeling the pain, Uchiha Sasuke cried out and twisted. In an instant, the incantation spread like a spiderweb, and then quickly formed a 3.0 hexagram image, and then the hexagram image turned, followed by a faint smoke. Shi Shangyang didn't change his smile. He came closer, looked at Uchiha Sasuke who was crying, and said softly, "Master Hokage, will this child be a bridge between Murakami and Uchiha? I'm looking forward to how you will treat Uchiha." Namakazi Manato was already in a trance at this time. The Shinigami shadow behind him quickly disappeared, and the illusory chakra arm also returned to Namakazi Manato's body. Chapter 182. Words of Murder and Punishment, for subscription. This Sasuke is naturally the Uchiha Sasuke of the Konoha Uchiha clan. The brat nicknamed Urzuzi was brought out by Shi Shangyang after he came to Konoha and sneaked into the Uchiha clan ahead of time. As for why he did this, he naturally wanted to cause trouble for Konoha. He is a time traveler. If everything follows the original plot, what's the point of time travel? Now that he has started, he will naturally make things bigger. Now that there is a Jinuriki in the Uchiha family, the conflict between Uchiha and Konoha will definitely be more obvious, and Uchiha Itachi has been a Brokon since he was a child. Shi Shangyang is really curious. Will choose so. With this Jinuriki, there is no possibility of peaceful coexistence between Uchiha and Konoha. This is naturally what Shi Shangyang did on purpose. From the moment he owned Sharingan, he had a relationship with Uchiha. He has never denied it. At the beginning of the conversation with Uchiha Fugaku, Uchiha was also vaccinated in advance, so that one day he would be able to pack Uchiha away. They're all talents. If these people use them well, they will definitely become a huge help for him. Now that he is so tossed, Konoha has Uchiha's Jinchuriki, then Konoha will inevitably conflict with Uchiha's right to save Sasuke's disposal. This is not a guess, it is destined. As time goes by, the contradiction grows, and Shi Shangyang will have the opportunity to intervene. In fact, Shi Shangyang has been calculating these things since he entered the battlefield, and it has only really begun to be implemented. He is looking forward to the development of the next thing, and wants to see if the development of things will exceed his expectations. It's too far, let's say it again. In the scene at this time, the ninjas saw that Nine Tails was sealed, and burst into cheers. They were glad that the crisis in the village was lifted. Nothing was more important than this. On the other side, third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen is still fighting, and the object of his battle is still Shi Shangyang, but it is just a clone of Shi Shangyang, and it has not been resolved until now, which also highlights the power of Shi Shangyang from the side. On the other hand, Shi Shangyang was looking at Namakazi Manato with a smile. It's hard to accept, isn't it? Shi Shangyang's smile didn't change, and he continued. He's just a child, he doesn't have a mind yet. If you kill him at this time, it will only take a while for Nine Tails to be reborn, and as a result, there will be more Konoha. A chance to choose, Senior Manato. You can completely seal Nine Tails into your own child again, but, will you do this? 35. This is a bit of a slap in the face. Namakazi Manato is definitely the kind of decent guy. Neither his character nor his code of conduct would allow him to do this. Sure enough, Namakazi Manato said angrily, I won't let you succeed. Advertisement, hee. What will I succeed? But then again, if you don't want to kill this child, then the conflict between Konoha and Uchiha is likely to be magnified. In this case, are you still willing to die? Don't forget you are Hokage. If you really want to die like this, the situation at that time, the old man of the third generation alone can't hold it up. That's right, Shi Shangyang did this partly because he didn't want Namakazi Manato to die. He didn't know that Shi Shangyang gave Uzumaki Kushina medicine, so in his imagination, Uzumaki Kushina would definitely die soon, and as a husband, his original plan was to accompany his wife. This is his guilt towards Uzumaki Kushina, a husband's responsibility, and an apology to his wife after he sealed Nine Tails into his child's body. This is what Shi Shangyang knew from the analysis of the information. To be honest, Namakazi Manato can be regarded as the protagonist. No matter how you look at it, he is the protagonist, authentic character. But now, with the appearance of Uchiha Sasuke, Namakazi Manato can't even die if he wants to. Sure enough, hearing Shi Shangyang say this, the anger on Namakazi Manato's face was even more intense. At this moment, his anger towards Shi Shangyang had exceeded the limit of his endurance. His figure suddenly disappeared and appeared in front of Shi Shangyang, holding the kunwu and stabbing towards Shi Shangyang's neck. When Shi Shangyang took out his ninja knife and blocked Kuwu. Why did you do this? What's wrong with the village? Namakazi Manato said angrily. Shi Shangyang's smile remained unchanged, and said softly, in my growing up, Konoha did help me, but when I showed the characteristics of Sharingan, I felt hostile, which made me very dislike, especially what the village advisor Shimura Danzo did later, even more disgusted me. With one kick, Namakazi Manato disappeared, but at the same time, Shi Shangyang's figure also disappeared. Boom! Shi Shangyang appeared next to Namakazi Manato, and the kick still hit the latter. Advertisement boom. Namakazi Manato flew more than 10 meters away and hit a large rock. Shi Shangyang came to the small platform, looked down at Uchiha Sasuke, who was crying, and then said to Namakazi Manato, who stood up, people's thoughts can change, and you should also know that changes in thoughts are very important. It may be a momentary thing, when something accumulates to a certain level, or when something makes people feel unbearable, change will appear naturally. 35. As he said that, he picked up Uchiha Sasuke and shook it gently, while the other hand patted Uchiha Sasuke's back at the same time, slowly comforting, but his mouth did not stop. I'm almost like this. Shimura Danzo's behavior makes me sick, and the village's treatment of Uchiha also makes me unhappy. Obviously I'm not Uchiha. Just awakened 983 Sharingan. The village treats me like this. I can't imagine, after I really return to Uchiha, will Uchiha still survive? Namakazi Manato stood up clutching his stomach, then coughed violently twice, spitting out a mouthful of blood. Shi Shangyang's kick just now wasn't really light, because Shi Shangyang didn't really keep his hand in that move just now, that is, Namakazi Manato blocked it with his hand at the critical moment, otherwise, this one would make him lose his combat effectiveness. That was Flying Thunder God technique, right? Namakazi Manato hissed. Oh, okay. Let him go, Namakazi Manato said solemnly. Shi Shangyang raised his eyebrows and smiled brightly. After speaking, he slightly lifted the baby in his arms and asked, so, do you need me to help you kill him? Shi Shangyang ripped off his jacket, wrapped Uchiha Sasuke with it, and threw it to Namakazi Manato with a sly force. The latter caught it and heaved a sigh of relief. That's right, you don't think you are the only one who can master this skill? I can too, but don't underestimate me. 35. Please subscribe. I heard Shi Shangyang say again. It's very strange, have all the ninjas in the village come? Why didn't I see Uchiha's people? Oh, I won't really guess it, the village has already started targeting Uchiha now. Is it? Konoha is really scary. Chapter 183 Nine Tails Chakra Seeds, please subscribe. Namakazi Manato's face suddenly darkened when he heard the words. As Hokage, he is very aware of the current situation of Konoha, and there is no Uchiha ninja tonight. Obviously it can't be Uchiha's own problem, someone must be secretly preventing it. Thinking of who in the village is hostile to Uchiha, Namakazi Manato couldn't help but have a headache. No need to guess, the reason why Uchiha ninja did not appear. There must be Shimura Danzo's intervention, otherwise there will be no one in the village who has such an ability. Make Uchiha of the Master Guard unable to appear here. Did he really get it? Namakazi Manato looked at Shi Shangyang with a sullen face, but saw that he was still smiling, looking like he was watching a good show. On the other side, Sarutobi Hiruzen, who had gone through untold hardships and even had a lot of glitter on his body, finally solved Shi Shangyang's avatar and came to Namakazi Manato's side breathlessly, and quickly saw the situation on the field. This is, Sarutobi Hiruzen glanced at Uzumaki Kushina, who was sitting on the ground holding the child, then at the child in Namakazi Manato's arms, and at Shi Shangyang, and suddenly had a bad feeling. Without any hesitation, Sarutobi Hiruzen lifted the swaddle wrapped around Uchiha Sasuke, and his pupils shrank when he saw the sealed incantation on his abdomen. Is that the kid? Sarutobi Hiruzen had met Uchiha Sasuke. After all, the child's name was the same as his father's. On the day the child was born, he was there as a retired Hokage to congratulate him, but he couldn't believe it. Namakazi Manato nodded silently. Sarutobi Hiruzen twitched in his heart, then turned his head and stared at Shi Shangyang, the anger that could not be concealed no matter what. It took me so long to get rid of my avatar after so much effort. It's really hard work, Lord Third Hokage. Shi Shangyang was still smiling, but what he said made people clench their fists. But Sarutobi Hiruzen had no impulse, even though there were already Konoha shinobi people around. He didn't do it again, but asked in a deep voice, why do you do this? Although I don't know what went wrong in the process, but the result is already like this. Namakazi Manato has no reason to seal 9 tails on Uchiha child, so naturally it is only possible that Shi Shangyang did it. Shi Shangyang grinned. Why do you want to do this? There shouldn't be any reason, I just want to see your reaction, and I'm also looking forward to how Konoha will treat Uchiha in the future. This is a question I asked for you. I hope you can give me an answer that satisfies me in the future. Advertisement. While speaking, Shi Shangyang's figure began to fade, as if it would disappear at any time. Shi Shangyang was going to leave, but before he left, he thought about it and saw that the cards in the field were put away, and there was a golden card among them. Other cards were white, blue, and purple, mostly item cards and ability cards. Shi Shangyang didn't care much about them. At his level, it was hard to impress him with ordinary things. Only the bright golden card was what he cared about the most, and he couldn't help but deepen his smile. Just because that card was from 9 tails. Drop. Congratulations to the host for getting the ability card 9 tails Kurama Chakra Seeds. Close black lens bracket. Dip. Congratulations on the ability card obtained by the host. 9 tails Kurama Chakra Seeds have been increased by 9 times, and upgraded to ability cards. 9 tails Kurama Chakra Seeds, blank state. Really? Another tailed beast chakra seed card, plus the previous chakra seed card of 3 tails Isoyo. Now he already has 2 tailed beasts chakra in his hand. He did not use the 3 tails chakra seed card, but kept it in the card pack, because he felt that after using the chakra seed card of the tail beast, it is very likely that a brand new tail beast would be born, which should probably be in its infancy, the kind of tailed beast. This possibility is very high, at least Shi Shangyang thinks so. Then in this case, if he collects all the chakra seed cards, wouldn't he be able to synthesize 10 tails? So Shi Shangyang doesn't plan to use the 9 tails chakra seed cards now, but accumulates them. He plans to wait until he collects all the tails chakra seed cards in the future, and then make a good experiment to see if the truth is as he guessed. If that's the case, the last shortcoming between him and Otsutsuki will also be filled. All this, others don't know, they just watched Shi Shangyang's figure fade, but the smile on his face became more and more obvious, which made them feel very ironic. Sarutobi Hiruzen wanted to make a move, but he knew that he would not be Shi Shangyang's move, and Shi Shangyang was leaving, which was definitely good news for the current Konoha, so he didn't do anything else at this time. I am very happy tonight. Thank you everyone for letting me watch such a good show. Then, I will have a chance to see you later. When the words fell, Shi Shangyang's figure completely disappeared. Konoha's ninjas had come to the front at this time, surrounded Namakazi Manato, and someone couldn't help but said, "Lord Hokage, has that guy left?" Advertisement Namakazi Manato reluctantly restrained his emotions and showed a smile. The crisis is temporarily lifted. Everyone, I have to trouble everyone. The defense work tonight cannot be slack, and we will arrange for people to comfort the villagers and treat the injured. Please everyone. 5. Yes, Hokage-sama. Hearing Namakazi Manato say this, the people present were immediately excited. They were far away before, and did not see the whole picture of the whole thing. At this time, they did not see the enemy. They only thought that Lord Hokage had driven the enemy away, and couldn't help but rejoice. Sarutobi Hiruzen said nothing, then sighed slightly, and glanced at the child in Namakazi Manato's arms, and then at Uzumaki Kushina. "Kushina, are you okay?" he asked. Uzumaki Kushina was completely powerless at this time. In the situation just now, she couldn't do it, and she didn't dare to do it, because she was her child in her arms, and she didn't want the child to have any damage. When I heard Sarutobi Hiruzen's words at this time, I had the heart to feel my own problems. This feeling immediately shocked her. She really couldn't explain it, because she didn't even know what was wrong with her body. Namakazi Manato subconsciously wanted to do the same, but the next moment he reacted, gritted his teeth slightly, and sighed. "Let me take this child first, the Fugaku couple must be in a hurry now. Please subscribe." Having said that, without waiting for Sarutobi Hiruzen to say anything, he disappeared with Uzumaki Kushina performing the Flying Thunder God technique. I don't know Fox. Sarutobi Hiruzen hurriedly said. "Manato, take the Kushina mother and child to the hospital, and give the child to me." Sarutobi Hiruzen's face changed slightly, and suddenly there was a bad premonition in his heart. Uzumaki Kushina gasped for 2 breaths, his whole body was weak, but his breath was not as disordered and exhausted as before, so he said with surprise and doubt. I can't tell, it was already almost dying just now, but no what, now my chakra is recovering." Namakazi Manato heard the words, and hurriedly came to support her and asked, "Kushina, how do you feel?" Chapter 184 Namakazi Manato's Decision for Subscription. As the master of Hokage for decades, Sarutobi Hiruzen knew right away what it means for Uchiha to become a Jinchuriki, especially under the long-term decision-making of the village. There is no harmony between the village and Uchiha, although there is no obvious confrontation, but there are not many sisters in secret. Now that Uchiha has a Jinchuriki, it will inevitably increase the ambitions of the Uchihas, thereby affecting the stability of the village, so Sarutobi Hiruzen's idea is to control this Uchiha and be raised by the Hokage family since childhood. Become a Hokage family of people. Of course, he didn't have too many dark thoughts, and his starting point was to want this Uchiha child to be a bridge between the village and Uchiha, so he just said that, but the result made Sarutobi Hiruzen feel heavy, just because Namakazi Manato refused. Refused. This can be interpreted in many ways. Will Namakazi Manato fall in favor of Uchiha? This thought just went through Sarutobi Hiruzen's mind once, and then he got rid of it. He felt that Namakazi Manato could not have made such a choice, just because it would be too stupid. After all, Namakazi Manato is 4th Hokage. His identity is destined to make it impossible for him to have those 983 decisions. So the answer is obvious. Namakazi Manato doesn't want Hokage to take the child away, but why? Is he trying to send a signal to the Uchiha family? Sarutobi Hiruzen subconsciously felt that this was inappropriate, because he knew very well that this might stabilize Uchiha temporarily, but there would definitely be a lot of big trouble in the future. Just because people are unsatisfied, especially Uchiha, can now hand over the child to Uchiha, but after a long time, will Uchiha have any ambitions because of this? He knows the Uchihas too well. Almost every Uchiha has that kind of extreme character and idea. As long as this dangerous idea prevails among the Uchihas, then the village will be really dangerous at that time. No, Sarutobi Hiruzen thought of this, his heart sank, he would never allow this to happen, so even if a decision has been made, he must find a way to persuade Namakazi Manato not to have such thoughts. This Uchiha child must be a master, it is safe in the hands of the Hokage family. Thinking like this, Sarutobi Hiruzen left without any hesitation. He now has to find a beta person to study how to deal with this matter. If it doesn't work out, it will be a big trouble. Advertisement: the crisis of 9 tails is lifted. Although the village is not a mess, it still suffers a lot of losses. With such a huge movement as 9 tails, even though most of the time before 9 tails was outside the village, it was only when 9 tails appeared. After a while, the village has already suffered a lot of losses. In the area near the periphery, there are collapsed buildings everywhere. It is not as simple as 1 household and 2 households, but the loss of 1 street after another. This is not so easy to repair. Fortunately, at the beginning, the ninjas responded very quickly, so there were few casualties, but it took a lot of effort to rebuild, especially when their home was destroyed, the kind of frustration and anxiety. Sadness is the most helpless thing. Konoha wants to repair these places. People are naturally busy, and the ninjas are even more concerned about chakra, patrolling patrols, defending defenses, and more devoted to rescue and reconstruction. In short, tonight is a busy night. Namakazi Manato took his wife and children to Konoha Hospital. Fortunately, there was no impact in the previous battle, but now all the wounded in the village are concentrated here, and the medical ninjas are even more busy. Fortunately, he was Hokage, and someone noticed him very quickly, and a medical ninja came forward immediately and did a safe examination for Uzumaki Kushina. These medical ninjas naturally knew what happened tonight, also apprehensive. Namakazi Manato, who got the result, was slightly relieved, but then became suspicious. You mean, in Kushina's body, chakra begins to recover naturally? The body is also repairing itself? Namakazi Manato asked. The person from the medical emergency class replied, Yes, Lord Hokage, but this situation should not have happened. Even if Lord Kushina is the bloodline of the Uzumaki clan, it should not have happened. Her vitality recovery was too sudden, it's like, prepared in advance. Namakazi Manato frowned and asked subconsciously, You said, will someone save Kushina? The man pondered for a moment, then shook his head slightly. According to my experience and knowledge, such a person does not exist, and there is no art in the ninja world that can do this. Even Master Tsunade can't do it to this extent. After that, Jinuriki must die, because when chakra is drawn, the tailed beast chakra will also be brought out together with the chakra of Jinuriki, so if chakra is lost, Jinuriki's death is inevitable. Namakazi Manato's brows furrowed even tighter as he pondered, could the problem be with Kushina's physique? The man shook his head again. I have seen many ninja physiques, and some of them have special physiques, but I have never seen such a situation, and my personal physique is not enough to resist the tailed beast being pumped. Self-injury after separation, because normally, this is an irreversible process. 99. Advertisement. Namakazi Manato nodded slightly when he heard the words. At this time, he was not sure what happened to Uzumaki Kushina, but now this result is what he expected to see. Thank you. Let's keep this matter a secret first. How is Kushina now? Can I visit? The man hurriedly said. Yes, Lord Hokage. Lord Kushina is in a stable condition now. Your child is not in any condition, and that child's condition is also very stable. Namakazi Manato breathed a sigh of relief, then a tangled look appeared on his face, and he sighed after a while. Come on. Saw. The Shadow Guard members appeared and knelt around Namakazi Manato. Go and invite the Fugaku chief of Uchiha to come over and say that I have something to discuss with him, and tell him that Master Sasuke is here now and in good condition. Yes. Several people disappeared instantly. Namakazi Manato has already made a decision. He can't be so heartless in dealing with Uchiha Sasuke. In the end, he has to discuss this matter with Uchiha Fugaku. After tidying up, Namakazi Manato went to his wife's ward, and then saw that his wife was holding two children, half leaning on the head of the bed, and the motherly expression on her face could not be restrained. Seeing this, Namakazi Manato couldn't help but smile. It seems that this result is not too bad, at least the wife and children have not suffered any damage in this matter. As a husband, there is nothing better than this result. Chapter 185. Namakazi Sasuke, please subscribe. Seeing Namakazi Manato coming in, Uzumaki Kushina recovered from the atmosphere of motherly love, carefully placed the two children on his side, tucked the swaddles for them, and then smiled. Are you done, Manato? Namakazi Manato nodded, smiled softly, came to the bed and asked, How are you feeling? Uzumaki Kushina showed a hint of happiness. I thought I was going to die, but I didn't expect that I would actually come back to life, and now I'm getting better and better, even I don't know why, but with such a result, it really makes me feel better. People feel happy. 39. Namakazi Manato smiled unchanged, secretly relieved, and nodded. That's good, you can take good care of Naruto in the future. Then what about this child? Uzumaki Kushina asked. Of course she was referring to Uchiha Sasuke. Namakazi Manato frowned slightly, then sighed. I don't know how to deal with it yet, but I already have an idea. I can handle it properly? However, Uzumaki Kushina looked at the two children on the bed gently, and said without raising his head. I know your pressure, this kind of thing is difficult for even your Hokage to handle, after all, it concerns the Uchiha family. Yeah, it's really tricky, Namakazi Manato agreed. Uzumaki Kushina looked up, and made an offer. If we're going to raise this child. Do you think the Uchihas would agree? 35. Namakazi Manato was startled, and subconsciously began to think about the feasibility of this matter, and if it did, what would the Uchiha family think and react to? After thinking about it, he found that Kushina's proposal might be the best way to deal with this matter. Compared with telling the Uchiha clan clearly that Uchiha Sasuke is handed over to the Hokage clan to deal with, the Uchiha clan will definitely be unwilling, and even cause a backlash in the end. After all, Sasuke is the child of the Uchiha Fugaku clan chief and has a great relationship. But if this child is raised by their couple, then with their relationship with the Fugaku patriarch couple, it may be easier for the Uchiha family to accept. After all, the people of Uchiha are very clear that their couple has no bad feelings towards Uchiha, and it is one of the few people in the village who is willing to take the initiative to contact Uchiha, not to mention that he is Hokage, which itself represents an attitude and goodwill. Advertisement, really? Kushina? At this moment, Namakazi Manato was pleasantly surprised. He didn't expect his wife to give such a solution, and the emotions that had been worrying him all of a sudden loosened. If this matter can really be handled in this way, then to the village, to Uchiha, and to the people of the Hokage family, there will be a good explanation. At least Jinchuriki is still in the hands of the master in Hokage, which is more important than that of Master Uchiha. Reassuring. Uzumaki Kushina raised his head, smiled, and said gently, I am your wife. I know the situation you are facing now, although I can't help you directly, but if my ideas can help you, I will be happy to do so. Do. 99. But in this case, will you be working too hard? Namakazi Manato worried. Uzumaki Kushina shook his head. It doesn't matter, my vitality has recovered very quickly, although I don't know what happened in the middle, but I think there will be no problem in the future. And? You don't think if Naruto has one more would it be a very happy thing if you were a brother? Namakazi Manato thought for a while, then smiled and nodded. As that's so, I understand, I support your decision, Kushina. I will discuss this matter with the Fugaku couple, I believe they should be able to agree. Vortex Kushina smiled and nodded, then I'll trouble you, Manato. It doesn't matter, you can rest well and leave the rest to me. The two didn't say much, and Namakazi Manato was worried about his wife's physical condition and quickly withdrew. On the other side, Sarutobi Hiruzen had brought people to Konoha Hospital at this time, and soon found Namakazi Manato, who was frowning and thinking about the problem. Manato, where is that kid now? That kid was, of course, Uchiha Sasuke. Not many people came. Third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen plus Uchiha Ekaharu, and a few Hokage clan chiefs, like the veteran Ino Shikacho trio. They already knew what happened, so naturally they came to persuade Namakazi Manato to let him hand over the handling of Uchiha Sasuke, because the Uchiha masters were never allowed to live in Nine Tails Jinchuriki. Namakazi Manato seemed to have anticipated their arrival for a long time, and did not appear surprised. He smiled gently. The child is very good, he is already underwater. I know your intentions, third-generation adults, my thoughts are like this. Advertisement katakana middle dot katakana middle dot katakana middle dot seeking flowers katakana middle dot 0. He repeated Kushina's proposal all the time. At this moment, he had already thought about the feasibility of this matter, and believed that adopting this child by his own couple was indeed the best solution for this matter. Sure enough, listening to him say this, the seriousness on Sarutobi Hiruzen's face relaxed a lot. He understood Namakazi Manato's situation very well. As Hokage, maintaining the stability and peace of the village is very important, so when dealing with Uchiha, naturally, there can be no slightest carelessness. It's just that the Hokage experience over the years has made him understand one thing, in the handling of certain things, there is no regression at all. Instead of hesitating, it is better to make up your mind directly. And now, he saw that Namakazi Manato's attitude on this matter was in line with Hokage's, and that was what really reassured him. At least Hokage didn't turn to Uchiha, and Manato's handling of the matter was indeed biased towards the village, so that's fine. Sarutobi Hiruzen let out a long sigh of relief. The seasoned he naturally understood in an instant that this way of handling things would be beneficial to both the village and Uchiha, so he nodded and said, in this case, I have no opinion, perhaps, this is the only way to deal with this matter. To calm down the unwillingness of the Uchiha family, you did a good job, Manato, better than I thought, the village. Leave it to you, I can rest assured. Namakazi Manato was taken aback for a moment, then smiled and nodded. I have no problem. After speaking, he asked Namakazi Manato, Manato, since you and your wife are going to raise the child, then it's better to change the child's surname and call it Namakazi Sasuke, how about it? 9. However, the people around him were a little unwilling. Uchiha Ekaharu said solemnly, Jinchuriki, it is best to leave it to the village to control. Please subscribe. Only. This is Sarutobi Hiruzen's real thought, and if he were to handle it, it might not have been handled well by Namakazi Manato. Let's do it this way, there's nothing wrong with Manato's decision. Namakazi Manato smiled unchanged, and said, let's handle this matter like this. Our husband and wife raised this child. The result is the same for the village. It can appease the Uchiha family, so there will be no more troubles. Uchiha Ekaharu wanted to say something, but Sarutobi Hiruzen interrupted by shaking his head. Chapter 186 Uchiha's Anger. Please subscribe. The discussions on their side were almost the same, and the matter was decided like this. The people from the Uchiha clan came very quickly. When they learned that the missing Sasuke was here with Lord Hokage, the Uchiha Fugaku and his wife brought them with them without any delay. People came to Konoha Hospital. In the hospital, people from both sides met. What they didn't expect was that consultant Uchiha Ekaharu attacked directly at this time. Nine Tails ran wild tonight. The ninjas in the village are fighting desperately, but why? I didn't see your ninjas in Uchiha. 5. The Uchiha family came out of Fugaku and his wife, and there were other high-level Uchiha family members, more than 10 people. A group of people came, which also showed the strength of Uchiha. But hearing Uchiha Ekaharu say this, Uchiha's people sank, even Uchiha Fugaku, he said directly. We had already made the decision to fight. 983. From the very beginning of the incident, but being stopped at the door of the clan by Anbu's people. I hope Lord Hokage can give an explanation for this matter. Speaking of this, Uchiha Fugaku is indeed qualified to be angry. Anyone who is full of blood and wants to fight with Nine Tails, but is stopped by someone, and now he is beaten down by someone, will be very angry. Is there such a thing? Namakazi Minato and Sarutobi Hiruzen glanced at each other, and then both turned their suspicious eyes to Uchiha Fugaku at the same time. I didn't give such an order, Namakazi Minato said solemnly. Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded. I didn't give such an order either. 99. This statement of the two people suddenly changed the expressions of the people present. They knew very well that the two Hokages would not lie about this kind of thing. It was about Hokage's dignity and honor. There is clearly some hidden conspiracy in the middle. Udatane Kaharu frowned as well, which she didn't expect. It was the order I gave, and it was the person I arranged to stop the Uchiha ninja from going out at the same time. A voice came from the other end of the corridor, and then Shimura Danzo was seen coming from there. The one with roots? Namakazi Minato frowned. Anything involving General will become troublesome, and he has understood this from the moment he became Hokage. Advertisement Sarutobi Hiruzen frowned and said solemnly. Why give such an order? Danzo, this will make the village very passive. Shimura Danzo's expression was calm, the half of his face that was not wrapped in bandages, his eyes were slightly closed, and when he came closer, he opened his eyes and said coldly. This point, I have to ask the Uchiha clan. What do you mean, Lord Danzo? Uchiha Fugaku's face is not very good looking. In the current situation, it seems that people from the Hokage family are deliberately making things difficult for them. This makes Uchiha's people very angry, and their faces are full of anger. The smell of gunpowder came out at once. Shimura Danzo still said flatly, the appearance of Nine Tails is man-made, everyone knows that, so who did it? Namakazi Minato's heart is heavy. As someone who has played against the people behind the scenes, he has a bad premonition in his heart. Do you have a clue, Danzo? Did Shi Shangyang do it? Sarutobi Hiruzen also understood what happened, and learned from Namakazi Minato that it was not Shi Shangyang who fought with him at first, but that person was killed by Shi Shangyang later. In this way, was Nine Tails summoned by Shi Shangyang? It's kind of intriguing. I just heard Shimura Danzo say. I don't know if Shi Shangyang did it, but Nine Tails was originally controlled by Sharingan, which I can be sure of. It's impossible, Uchiha Fugaku exclaimed suddenly. Shimura Danzo just glanced at him, his eyes closed slightly, and calmly said. This kind of thing, not one or two people saw it. At that time Nine Tails' eyes were in a Sharingan state, and many people saw it. You can get rid of it if you deny it. Suspect. 35. Namakazi Minato frowned, and Sarutobi Hiruzen looked serious. They knew very well in their hearts that if this was the case, then the Uchiha clan did have serious suspicions in this matter, and they even thought deeply that they might have a connection with Shi Shangyang. In this way, Nine Tails Jinchuriki has to be more careful when dealing with matters. Just listening to Shimura Danzo say, I already know that Nine Tails was sealed on the child named Uchiha Sasuke, then I propose that the child be handed over to Genbu to cultivate. Nine Tails cannot be controlled by Uchiha anyway. He made the topic clear, and because of the presence of everyone and what he said just now, the expressions of the Uchiha clan changed dramatically. Advertisement Uchiha Fugaku clenched his fists tightly. No one would be very happy to be framed like this, not to mention that he is still the patriarch of the wealthy ninja Uchiha. And the wife beside him has red eyes, although he is not sure about what happened, but at this time, she just wanted to see what happened to her child. I disagree. Uchiha Fugaku's voice was hoarse, and he could feel that there was a conspiracy behind this incident, but it didn't matter to him who was targeting Uchiha, or whether the village deliberately targeted Uchiha in this matter. He is Uchiha's patriarch, and now, he must show his attitude on this matter, not to mention, he is also Sasuke's father, and it is even more impossible to give up the child. You have to think about it, Chief Fugaku, the village cannot compromise on this kind of thing. Nine Tails is about the stability and prosperity of the village, and it cannot be handed over to Uchiha to the master, Shimura Danzo said. This is an obvious thing, but everyone knew it before, but now Shimura Danzo is putting it on the bright side. Sarutobi Hiruzen frowned, trying to figure out a solution, but before he could say anything, Uchiha Fugaku roared. I am the father of that child, and we Uchiha are equally unlikely to compromise on this matter. Huh. Hearing this, Uchiha Fugaku took a deep breath and nodded silently. Having said this, everyone in the Hokage family sank in their hearts, and the thing they were most worried about still happened. Namakazi Minato took a deep breath and came to Uchiha Fugaku, staring into his eyes with awe. Fugaku, if you believe me, then leave this matter to me, and I will give you an answer, is it okay? Namakazi Minato was also relieved, showing a gentle smile. As Hokage, I reject Danzo's advisor's proposal, and I also have a proposal that I hope Patriarch Fugaku will seriously consider. 35. That's good. 35. Please subscribe. Uchiha Fugaku nodded slightly when he heard the words, Sir Hokage, please speak. Namakazi Minato took a deep breath and said solemnly, let that child be handed over to our couple to raise him. That child will become Naruto's older brother and will be treated the same as Naruto in the future, I promise you that. Namakazi Minato is considered to be one of the few people in the village who can really communicate with Uchiha, not to mention that Namakazi Minato is still Hokage, so his attitude, the Uchiha family naturally has to seriously consider. Chapter 187 Drive Uchiha to the Dead End, for subscription. Uchiha Fugaku was stunned when he heard the words, and then fell silent. The wife beside him covered his face and sobbed slightly. Does it have to be like this? Hokage-sama, Uchiha Fugaku whispered. The Uchihas behind him were also shocked by this proposal. The feeling of being targeted by the Hokage clan just now made them very nervous. Even if the Uchiha clan was extremely powerful, they would still be worried about the entire village. So even if they were angry just now, they didn't choose to really tear their faces. Those who can come here are the elites of the family, and they are also the kind of people who can see the situation clearly. After this time, it is natural to be silent, too much show their attitude, sometimes self-defeating. Namakazi Manato was silent for a while, then sighed slowly, nodded and said, I don't need to say some things, in fact, everyone knows, Chief Fugaku. This may be the only way to solve this matter. You are the chief of Uchiha. I'm Hokage of Konoha. We can't let other villages take advantage of this kind of thing, so please seriously consider my proposal. There is number 14 to overwhelm people, some just say things clearly and let people make choices. And it is precisely such a choice that is the most annoying, and Uchiha Fugaku felt this pain at this time. That was his own child, but now it has become Nine Tails Jinchuriki, and now he is the father, but now he is about to lose custody of the child. It will not be a reconciliation for any father thing. I disagree. The speaker was Shimura Danzo, who had planned to this day and was naturally reluctant to give up the master of Jinchuriki just like that. However, someone blocked his words back. I agree with Manato's proposal, Sarutobi Hiruzen said. Hiruzen, Jinchuriki must be handled by the village, Shimura Danzo said solemnly. Sarutobi Hiruzen just stared at him silently for a moment, and then said, Manato is Hokage, Jinchuriki comes from him, there is nothing wrong with it, or, Danzo advisor, you can represent the whole village. So, what do you want Hokage to do? This is a bit embarrassing. Even Shimura Danzo never thought that Sarutobi Hiruzen would say such a face-breaking remark at this time. Hiruzen you. Shimura Danzo's face was very ugly, and there was a feeling of being betrayed. Advertisement Sarutobi Hiruzen looked away. At this time, he had to determine the status of Namakazi Manato Hokage, otherwise, the handling of this matter would be more troublesome. Fugaku, I believe you can also understand that the village will not compromise on this kind of thing, and this does not mean that this matter is a bad thing. A Uchiha becomes a Jinchuriki, whether it is for the village or for Uchiha, it is a difference. A good thing, at least, is to deepen the mutual understanding between the village and Uchiha, which the village has always longed for. Sarutobi Hiruzen opened his mouth and directly defined the matter as positive, the tone was set, and the attitude of the village and theirs was revealed. The village will not embarrass Uchiha about Nine Tails, and Uchiha should not have unnecessary fantasies about Jinchuriki. Both sides should calm down and handle this matter well, so that nothing will happen to the village and Uchiha. Loss. Uchiha Fugaku understands the meaning of Sarutobi Hiruzen's words. Rather than leaving Sasuke to Nebu to deal with, he actually prefers to leave Sasuke to the Hokage couple to raise. At least he can feel the sincerity of Namakaze Manato, but not like Shimura Danzo, a private letter about the treatment of Nine Tails Jinchuriki. So how to choose, now has become very clear. Looking at his wife who was covering his face and crying, Uchiha Fugaku was very unwilling. But he also knew that the village could not compromise on this matter, and if Uchiha did not compromise, the final result would only be a lose-lose situation. Even, Uchiha may be destroyed because of this. Makoto, 39. Uchiha Fugaku patted his wife's shoulder, then closed his eyes slightly, and when he opened them again, his eyes were already in a Sharingan state, and the three tomo slowly rotated. He stared at Sarutobi Hiruzen, then turned his eyes to Namakaze Manato, and then said solemnly, Uchiha is not bad for the village in this matter, and the Nine Tails matter has nothing to do with Uchiha. Sasuke is my child, since now become a Jinchuriki, then he should also take the responsibility of Jinchuriki. I will not refuse this, but... Speaking of which, he gritted his teeth slightly and said in a hoarse voice, I don't hope that in the future, someone will attack Uchiha on this matter. This is the last time. This is a warning, and it also shows Uchiha's attitude that we can make concessions on this matter, but the village is not allowed to talk about this matter in the future. Saying that, Uchiha Fugaku wrapped his arms around his wife, turned around, and left without looking back. Those Uchihas who came together had suppressed anger on their faces. Obviously, the result of this treatment was not what they were willing to accept, but because of Fugaku, now I have to endure it again. Seeing the Uchihas leaving, the Hokage family breathed a sigh of relief. Even Sarutobi Hiruzen couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. He knew that the Uchiha family had compromised on this matter. Most wanted to see. But what followed was definitely Uchiha's estrangement from the village. After all, in this matter, the village forced Uchiha to be a bit ruthless. Humph. 35 advertisement. Seeing this, Shimura Danzo snorted coldly, and left without any nonsense. He did not achieve his goal, but was led by Sarutobi Hiruzen into the army, and it would be hell if he had a good face. After Uchiha's people and Danzo left, Namakaze Manato was silent for a moment, and then he sighed softly. Don't worry, after a while, I will personally come to the door and have a good talk with the Fugaku chief. The village should also have a good time on this matter. Give Uchiha some compensation in due course. Sarutobi Hiruzen frowned slightly, then nodded and said, I agree. Then let's do it. This matter has finally been dealt with, and 983 is not bad in terms of the result. At least the Hokage family achieved their goal. Instead of returning Jinchuriki, they made Uchiha give up Jinchuriki with a tough attitude. Now that Jinchuriki is raised by the Hokage couple, it is indeed the best choice. As Namakazi Manato, the future Jinchuriki will definitely have his heart for Konoha. If it is handed over to Danzo, I don't know what Jinchuriki will be in the end. Then everyone, please work harder to restore the village, Namakazi Manato said. The crowd responded, and Sarutobi Hiruzen patted Namakazi Manato on the shoulder and nodded as encouragement. Meanwhile, on the other side, Shi Shangyang and Uchiha Obito had already reunited, and the two had a brief exchange about what happened just now. Do you want to drive Uchiha to a dead end? Uchiha Obito asked. Shi Shangyang shrugged and said with a chuckle, no, it's just to let them see the situation clearly. But if Minato-sensei handled this matter, wouldn't it be too hard for the Uchiha people to accept? Uchiha Obito asked again, with an odd confidence in Namakazi Manato. Shi Shangyang shook his head, looked back in the direction of Konoha, and left without looking back, and said at the same time. With that guy Shimura Danzo there, Konoha can't be calm forever. I kept that guy and haven't killed it yet, too. There's a reason. Uchiha Obito did not follow, and shook his head when he saw it. I really don't understand. 35 Chapter 188 Uchiha Itachi's dazed and unwilling, for subscription. Uchiha Clan, Clanland, Clan leader Uchiha Fugaku's home. In the hall, a few people were sitting on their knees, all of them looked serious and silent. Uchiha Fugaku at the top was gloomy and not very good looking. Obviously, this matter has not been put down yet, and now it is necessary to discuss with the outstanding clansmen. Just come up with a decision. The people present here are basically the high-ranking members of the Uchiha clan, as well as the high-ranking guards. They know more than the general clan members, and they can see the situation more clearly. Lord Patriarch, if this goes on, the family will become very dangerous. The people of the Hokage family obviously want to take advantage of this incident to beat the Uchiha family, one person said. Some support it, some oppose it. Not necessarily, it depends on whether the sacrifice of the Patriarch is worth it. If the village really has the idea of improving relations with Uchiha, then it will definitely be expressed after that, otherwise we should prepare in advance. What are you going to do to betray the village? A question from Shi Shangyang made the village feel bad about our Uchiha clan. What should we do now? Shi Shangyang is not Uchiha, he has Sharingan, but he does not represent Uchiha. We can say this, but the village doesn't think so. Having Sharingan means Uchiha in the eyes of the village. Tonight's runaway of 9 tails is obviously inseparable from that kid. Think about it, if you were Hokage, what do you think of Uchiha? So, no matter how you look at it, it's Uchiha's fault. What's the point of the Patriarch's sacrifice? That's the Patriarch's child, but now he's become a Jinchuriki, and the Patriarch himself can't get rid of it. It's really abominable. Uchiha was the victim in this matter. Why did we end up the object of reflection? It's incomprehensible. The initial discussion turned into a quarrel later on. The reason was that the opinions could not be coordinated. Although the people present hated the village's attitude and result in this matter, they also had different understandings. But gradually, anger took the upper hand, and the verbal crusade against the village gradually increased. Uchiha Fugaku, who was sitting at the top, had a sullen face and said nothing. Although he was angry, it was almost gone at this time. For him, it was indeed very difficult to accept that his own child could not be raised by himself. But if this child can really become a bridge between the village and Uchiha, it will be a good thing for both the village and Uchiha. Advertisement and the attitude he is showing now is to see what the clansmen think, but now the more he hears it, the more frightened. The grievances of the clansmen seem to have accumulated to a certain extent, and it will continue to develop like this. If so, the situation will be very bad. Everyone. Finally, he spoke. The others listened, waiting for Uchiha Fugaku's decision. I will not agree with this matter easily. I will negotiate with the village later, so everyone will bear with me for a while. In addition, regarding the Shi Shangyang matter, I have issued a seal to the clan, and they will not be allowed in the clan in the future. Mention him. Everyone's expressions are different, but since the Patriarch has already issued an order, then they can only obey at this time. It is not the time of the original plot, and the current ninja world will end the war. As the Patriarch, Uchiha Fugaku leads the Uchiha clan. The ninjas have repeatedly made meritorious deeds on the battlefield, so now they are very majestic, and they tend to obey the orders of the Patriarch more. And in the back of the original plot, in fact, Uchiha Fugaku has been coerced by the emotions of the clan people, and he himself has been unable to make up his mind, which will eventually lead to the tragic disaster of extermination of the clan. While everyone was talking, a 4 or 5-year-old child was sitting in the corridor outside the hall, staring blankly at the night sky. Under the dim moonlight, there was no expression on the child's face. Still thinking about your brother, Itachi-kun? A voice came, and then a young man walked over from the side, with short hair looking neat, with a short blade on his back, dressed in a strong suit. You're here, Shisui-san. The person who came was Uchiha Shisui. After the war, he naturally returned to the village. Because of his good performance on the battlefield, his reputation as a genius in the clan became even more famous. Even the current job of guarding the meeting of important family members is now he is responsible for all of them, which shows his weight in the clan. And that 4 or 5-year-old child is naturally Uchiha Itachi. After experiencing what happened tonight, he was very at a loss, and in his small heart, there was a feeling of depression and unwillingness. Uchiha Shisui sat down beside him, also looked at the night sky, smiled and said, "It has already come to an end, right?" Advertisement Uchiha Itachi is young, but he has a lot of ideas, so he is much more mature than his peers, so he nodded. "I heard from my father that my younger brother was handed over to Hokage-sama. My mother was crying because of this, and my father was discussing it with the adults of the clan because of this," said Uchiha Itachi. Uchiha Shisui nodded slightly and asked, "What are you thinking, Itachi?" Uchiha Itachi shook his head slightly and was silent for a moment, then said, "I don't know, I just want to find my younger brother. I don't want my mother to be so sad, and I don't want my father to be so embarrassed about this matter." 35. "But do you know what Sasuke stands for now?" Uchiha Shisui asked the fox again. Uchiha Itachi pondered for a moment, then lowered his head. "It's Jinchuriki, right? That huge monster tonight is now sealed in his brother's body, right?" Uchiha Shisui nodded slightly and sighed. "Yes, that is Jinchuriki. Sasuke's current identity is not just that of Uchiha. His identity as Jinchuriki is destined to not remain in Uchiha." 9. "But, why is that?" Uchiha Itachi asked in confusion. "Sasuke, he is very likely to be the bridge between Uchiha and the village. Now that the war is over, Uchiha may be back to the way he used to be. You are still young and you may not feel it, but what I need to tell you is that Uchiha is in a very bad situation now, and Sasuke's appearance may be a very good opportunity." Speaking of this, Uchiha Shisui couldn't help but think of the scene when he met Shi Shangyang tonight. At that time, Shi Shangyang was holding Uchiha Sasuke, and he subconsciously wanted to stop it, but what Shi Shangyang told him at the time was just like that. "I don't know when Uchiha will come out with a Hokage, but Uchiha will have a Jinchuriki tonight, so if Uchiha can seize this opportunity, he will be better integrated into the village. Of course, it depends on the village and Uchiha. Do you have the same will?" This was Shi Shangyang's original words at the time, and because of this, Uchiha Shisui felt that this might be the beginning of a change, and he very much hoped that through this incident, the village would be reconciled with Uchiha. Chapter 189 Various Arrangements of Shi Shangyang. Please subscribe. What will be the reaction of Uchiha and how the relationship between Konoha and Uchiha will be dealt with in the end? These Shi Shangyang don't know now, and have no interest in knowing. He just did what he wanted to do, and in the end he just needs to wait for a result. That's it. He would accept this result no matter what. If Konoha really reached a settlement with Uchiha because of this matter, then he would not say anything. But if the gap between Konoha and Uchiha increases due to this, then Shi Shangyang will take away what he wants without hesitation. This incident was a test given by Shi Shangyang to Konoha and Uchiha. He came up with a question, and now it depends on the final score of Konoha and Uchiha, the two candidates. Back in TNG Village, he called a group of senior officials of TNG Village and gave a brief description of the matter. The top level of TN Village, that is, Orochimaru, Nohara Lin, Hyuga Naoto, and Uzumaki Sayako. They knew a little about Shi Shangyang's actions tonight, but they just didn't know the process and results of the actions. Now hearing Shi Shangyang's words, all of them suddenly looked shocked. Orochimaru added his lips and grinned. "As expected of Young-kun, it's amazing to do what I wanted to do but couldn't." Such a dangerous speech immediately attracted the attention of others. Nohara Rin said with some worry, "Is there really no problem doing this?" 983. If there is anyone who has the most affection for Konoha in the presence, it is estimated that she is the only one. Shi Shangyang just smiled slightly and said, "There won't be any problem, I'm very careful, I won't let Konoha suffer too much damage, you know, I care about Konoha very much now, after all, I still need to let Konoha suffer too much damage." Konoha top is in front, helping us attract the attention of other shinobi villages. Konoha's current position here in Shi Shangyang is the level of a sunshade. With Konoha there, at least the stability of the ninja world can be maintained. If Konoha is beaten too badly, the war of ninja world will break out. It just broke out, which is naturally not what Shi Shangyang wants to see. As expected of Mr. Yang, Hyuga Naoto habitually touted. Whoever was there most gave up on Shi Shangyang, and that was him. This is related to his experience in the current situation of Hyuga Branch House in Tien Village. Advertisement: anyone who has changed to a new environment, the family has received strong support. It is estimated that this will be the case, not to mention that he has learned a lot of skills from Shi Shangyang. His own strength has increased a lot, and he still occupies a high position in the village, so naturally became a staunch supporter of Shi Shangyang. In this regard, Shi Shangyang was very calm. "Everyone, there won't be any crisis outside us for the time being. From now on for a long time in the future, the ninja world will maintain a corresponding peace, so we need to seize this opportunity. The development of TNG Village needs with everyone's input and support. From now on, everyone's tasks will be heavier." Everyone's expression became solemn when they heard this. Even Orochimaru couldn't help but slightly restrained his expression at this time. "In the next few years, I don't think I will go out of TNG Village again. Everyone, I hope that in a few years, TNG Village's strength can catch up with the 5 great ninja villages, at least not too far behind." Shi Shangyang added road. Everyone froze in their hearts and then nodded solemnly. The meeting was not long. After that, Shi Shangyang arranged some things, such as expanding the Konoha hospital, increasing the development of medical drugs, starting to upgrade the industry, increasing the output of agricultural crops, etc. Shi Shangyang both a plan was made. Everyone present listened carefully, especially Orochimaru, who also received his assignment from Shi Shangyang. Said to be a task, in fact, it is an order, but it is only a task to take care of Orochimaru's face. The upgrade work of the self-shaped human puppets must be entrusted to you. These puppets will need to be made into different models in the future, some for combat, some for production, and some for medical treatment. In short, the village will be used in the future. Whether the productivity and service can meet the requirements, it is up to you to see Orochimaru. Shi Shangyang said to Nohara Lin again. Lin, I hope you can develop some new medical ninjutsu, and at the same time increase the prescribing, beta, of medicines for common diseases, as well as the development of medicines for ninja injuries. These are related to whether the village can use this to open up the entire ninja world market. I will help you in this regard. And Hyuga Naoto. Yes, Mr. Young. In terms of education in the ninja school, let your clansmen pay more attention. I will make arrangements according to the situation in the future. The school may be expanded, and I will recruit people from the teachers to compile new teaching materials. 35. Yes, Lord Yang, I will arrange it. Advertisement. In the end, Shi Shangyang turned his gaze to the whirlpool Sha Yeguo, and said after a little pondering. There is no other arrangement for you at the moment, just continue with the work you are currently doing. Yes. Shi Shangyang made some arrangements, but most of them are plans that have been made before, and it is not abrupt to say it now. On the contrary, everyone thinks that this arrangement is very reasonable. After that, Shi Shangyang ended the meeting, and then went to the Rain Shinobi Village Shao organization. Although TNG Village and Rain Shinobi Village are not a whole, in fact, both Shi Shangyang and Shao organization are very clear about the relationship between the two parties. Shao organization is still very grateful to Shi Shangyang. With the support of Shi Shangyang, it was impossible for the Shao organization to control the entire country of Rain so smoothly. Now the country of Rain has returned to calm, and the post-war reconstruction work has begun. After finishing these arrangements, Shi Shangyang focused his energy on Tien Jimura, and he still had a lot of things to do behind him. When Shi Shangyang saw it, hey coincidence, they were really the same people in the original plot. Please subscribe. I don't know if it was due to the inertia of the plot or something else, but at this time, Shi Shangyang really found a bit of familiarity in Shao organization. Shi Shangyang informed the Shao organization of the trio of their own plans, and at the same time, they communicated about the recent situation, and also gave orders to them, like TNG Village, to develop the country of Rain and strengthen the strength of Rain Shinobi Village. TNG-kun has provided great help, and TNG-kun will also earn huge profits from the reconstruction of the Rain country. This is a win-win situation, and no one will refuse. In this regard, Shi Shangyang did not intervene too much, just let the people in Shao's organization pay attention to disguise and deal with it. Don't let the guy from Black Zetsu find clues, and let them play the rest freely. At the same time, the Shao organization needs to start to increase the recruitment of members. Shi Shangyang told them about this before, and they have now started the plan and have several target candidates. And time usually only goes fast when busy. Inadvertently, it may be a long time in the blink of an eye. Chapter 196 years later, for subscription. Konoha 54 years, summer. Spring is over, the weather is getting hot and dry, the sun is rising, the cicadas are chirping, and Konoha has started a new day. In a single-family two-story building, there was a crackling sound, accompanied by exclamations and noise. Two small figures rushed out of the house. Idiot Naruto, it said that today is the day of the entrance ceremony, but you, actually overslept again. A little boy with black hair and black eyes was carrying a cloth bag on his back, and his mouth was full of complaints. In front of him, a little boy with short yellow hair with a simple and honest smile on his face, scratched his head and said, "Ahaha, I forgot to sleep. Sasuke, let's hurry up, I've been looking forward to this day for a long time. If I'm late, I'll be there." It leaves a bad impression in front of the teachers. Idiot, you know it's like this, so why didn't you get up earlier? I've already explained it to you several times last night. The black-haired boy was still complaining. At this time, a woman with long red hair rushed out from the door, holding two bentos in her hand, putting on her shoes staggeringly. She breathed a sigh of relief after closing the door, and then said, "You two brats, why don't you just call me?" "Ah, Mom, are you going to school too? You are already so old, do you still want to go to school with us?" the yellow-haired little boy asked innocently. This stupid guy. The black-haired boy covered his face with one hand, obviously speechless at the stupid words of the yellow-haired boy. Unsurprisingly, the red-haired woman stepped forward without saying a word, and just swiped at the yellow-haired child's head. Boom. Wow, it hurts. Why did you beat me, Mom? Stupid Naruto, I told you last night, you have to wake up early this morning to call me. You can't get up on your own, why do you blame me? And you can ask Sasuke to call you, so why is it me? The little yellow-haired boy is Naruto, who is almost 6 years old this year and has reached the age of school. And the little black-haired boy is Sasuke, surnamed Namakazi. It seems that Uchiha still accepted the result in the first place. The woman with long red hair is naturally Uzumaki Kushina, who unexpectedly survived the Night of Nine Tails and is still full of vitality. Because Sasuke is cute, Uzumaki Kushina said confidently. Advertisement click. Uzumaki Naruto seemed to hear the sound of his own heart breaking, and his face was sluggish. Yes, is that so? Mommy, you said that mine was cute before, don't tell me. Mommy, don't you like me? Uzumaki Naruto was a little flustered. Namakazi Sasuke covered his face, as if he was no longer surprised by this situation. Ahaha, it's time, let's go. I will send you to the ninja school. The entrance ceremony is indispensable to the role of mother. I also want to take pictures for you. Come, take your lunch. Sasuke smiled. Naruto, please restrain your smile, set off. Uzumaki Kushina was even more excited than the two children. He even dressed up for today. Even though he was already in his 20s and 30s, it was strange that she still had a girlish look on her. This is the daily routine of their family, led by Uzumaki Kushina. Two children followed, and the three soon came to the ninja school. There is nothing special about the entrance ceremony, but the gate of the ninja school is decorated with things like color bars and balloons, so that the children entering the school can take pictures here. That's right, there are cameras in the ninja world, and Konoha already had this at the very beginning of its establishment. Wow, a lot of people. Sasuke, look over there, cute girl. Uzumaki Naruto shouted. Sasuke hurriedly covered his mouth and whispered, Idiot, your voice is too loud, please calm down for me. 35. The voice was indeed not small, and many people looked over, including children and adults who came with them, and they immediately began to talk about it. Wow, is it Lord Hokage's child? That child has the same blonde hair as his father, and maybe he's a genius. It's the child of the 4th generation, and it should be Mr. Kushina who sent him. He looks so young. Hey, who is that black-haired kid? Could it be that he is? Shush, don't say it, don't let him hear it, it's definitely a very dangerous child. That's right. The chatter of the crowd subsided, and Uzumaki Naruto didn't even notice it, and even greeted the others quite spontaneously. But some words were heard by Namakazi Sasuke. He frowned slightly, but didn't think too much, just thought it was his hair color that attracted some attention. After all, as the son of Hokage, he has black hair, no matter how you look at it, unusual. Today is undoubtedly a happy day for the two children. Even Namakazi Sasuke, who is a little colder, can't help but smile more than before, not to mention Uzumaki Naruto, who is simply happy to be direct takeoff. For flowers. Zero advertisement compared with the two children. The happiest one is Uzumaki Kushina. She sent the two children to school and watched them walk into the classroom with other peers. A sense of accomplishment came spontaneously. Did you see, I brought up those two children, she couldn't help but said to the others. Hearing the words, the parents who were traveling by the side showed impolite smiles, and some did not know how to answer the call. Saw. A figure suddenly appeared beside Uzumaki Kushina, and said helplessly, Sorry Kushina, I'm late again, I was just dealing with some urgent matters. Boom. Vortex Kushina punched without any hesitation. The fist was taken by the person who came, and the person smiled. Don't be angry, Kushina, I know I'm wrong. Damn, today is the day when the children go to school, yet you didn't go home last night. 99. When the people on the side saw the person coming, they immediately showed a look of reverence. It's Hokage-sama. Wow, I didn't expect Lord Hokage to come in person. Uzumaki Kushina turned around and left. Sure enough, have you forgotten that you haven't been home for almost a week? Uzumaki Kushina said with wide eyes. Namakazi Manato smiled and said helplessly, In that case, I'll take a look at them first, and then, I still have something to deal with. Damn, I don't care about you. Sorry, Kushina, forgive me, it's really been a hassle to deal with some things recently, I'll tell you later when I go back. 35. Namakazi Manato, who didn't want to quarrel in front of people, looked helpless and smiled apologetically to the onlookers, and then he didn't have time to see the two children, so he hurried after him. Please subscribe. Only. HMPH. The two children are definitely disappointed now that they haven't seen you. I don't care. When the time comes, you apologize to them, and don't expect me to say good things to you again. Uzumaki Kushina said. It was none other than Konoha's 4th Hokage Namakazi Manato, but at this time he was not wearing a Hokage imperial robe, but an ordinary Konoha Jonin vest. After all, he was here to send his child to school, just to come it's too late.